Turn the volume, turn it loud. Miami's pride, make us proud. CanesWear crew, you hear the crowd. Hurricanes ain't backing down. Every play, every score. Raising bets and raising roar. Rocking orange, green galore. All for one and one for four. We got FTSN, taking names, winning again. Podcast fam, till the end. Tune in, now let's begin.
Hello and welcome to the CanesWear podcast, the CFP playoff national championship portal edition. We are excited and pumped to be here. Obviously, we'd be a lot more pumped if the last game had gone our way, but it was an amazing run for the Miami Hurricanes, for your Miami Hurricanes, for our Miami Hurricanes, for CanesWear's Miami Hurricanes. Just the little things, the little steps I talk about, the little wins, getting into that playoff was phenomenal, wasn't it, Gio? Just phenomenal getting into that playoff. I mean, that was like unbelievable. Then with everyone saying they'll just be one and done, and then we go ahead and beat Texas A&M in front of their 800 million fans. I think we're in the stadiums, they said. So we beat them. Then we beat our nemesis, Ohio State Buckeyes. Then we get rid of the Fiesta Bowl curse against Mississippi. And then almost against an Indiana team that everybody thought nationally that would be blown out by, and I have no idea why. We come so close. We a little tentative in the first half, but then we poured on, have every chance in the world, but just come up short. But what a great season for your Miami Hurricanes, a phenomenal season. 13 wins, first time in program history. I mean, so many great individual efforts, a team effort. I know we all wanted to win that championship. I promise you, nobody wanted to win more than Gio and I. But it was just what a season. It just felt so good. Dare say it, the Hurricanes are back. The portal is exciting. Everything is heating up. We're going to have tons of guys in the draft, tons of new guys in the NFL, lots of new Canes blood coming. It's just such an exciting time to be a Hurricanes fan. And so I just want to let you know, thank you so much for being part of our show. Thank you so much for being part of the Canes and CanesWear family. And speaking of CanesWear, we are sponsored by CanesWear, the spot South Florida and Miami fans shop. If you came by or ordered from the store, it's been a crazy 10 days, crazy month and a half. The last 5 days have been, amazingly crazy. The lines have been out the door. And if you ordered and you didn't get your stuff on time or so, we do apologize. It was just like every day was like a Christmas rush. But thank you to all the amazing Canes and CanesWear family out there. And remember, we're on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Like and subscribe to Bobby and the team, and go ahead and that'd be a great thing to do. And share this. Tell your friends about it. Gio and I are going to be on regularly, so exciting times ahead. So we are pumped. And without any further ado, I've got the man himself on the sidelines for all the big games, thankfully. And reporting portal, reporting Hurricanes, everything. The man himself, Gio. How are we doing, Gio?
I'm doing good. Look, no time for crying over spilled milk. Yes, Miami could have won that game Monday. Everyone knows the block punt, the missed field goal, the last drive, not getting those stops on some fourth downs. But it is what it is. But you know what, Brett? Miami is in talent acquisition mode. Mm-hmm. They are not going to cry over the spilled milk. They are not going to pack it in and just say, all right, we're done. We got here, but we came up just minimally short at the end. No. Miami's trying to gear up to go back on another run yet again. They're chasing down Darian Mensah from Duke, who had his injunction hearing actually moved up from February 2nd to January 29th. Just a little bit about that as well, about the whole Darian Mensah saga. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of these legal proceedings, what ends up happening even before a hearing comes about, as long as both sides are amicable about it, potentially a settlement between Miami and Duke. Mm-hmm. The reality is here, Brett, when it comes to Darian Mensah or just other collegiate athletes, the schools really don't have true rights to keep these players hostage at their school. At the end of the day, they're not employees of the institution. So that we'll see as it goes. Next Thursday is the hearing. Potentially, we'll see if something happens beforehand. You know, sometimes these things, they end up in a settlement before it even gets to a hearing. So we'll see. However, his teammate and the second most productive receiver in the ACC this season, right behind Malachi Toney, Cooper Barkate, entered the portal as well. And I find it quite ironic, Brett, that Duke's not trying to prevent him from entering.
Did he have a contract with?
No, I think it's ironic in itself, but you know what? That situation will play itself out. However, I do anticipate him to end up at Miami. You know, just all predicated on the mental situation. I'll say this though, at least from the side of Miami and speaking to a few people around the program, there's not much concern about like Mensa becoming a Hurricane. There's plenty of people that are very confident about it following through. Just got to let things play out. And for the questions people have about, you know, the enrollment date at Miami and whatnot, I've mentioned this several times in my private board. I'll bring it up here. UM's president and administration as well, they've commented on it already in the past that because of the unique situation of Miami going so far into the postseason versus enrollment dates, like, for example, one of the final enrollment dates was January 21st, which already passed. Then there was an extension made up to the 23rd. For the people worried that, oh, you know, what if he doesn't get in time or whatever? All this is going to be settled within the next week. Exceptions will be made, and this has already been mentioned as it is. So for the people getting riled up about that, like, oh, he's not going to participate in spring, relax. As long as everything, you know, goes the way it is expected, he will participate in spring. So that's huge for Miami. Getting a quarterback in Darian Mensa, who was second in the country in passing yards and second in passing touchdowns, only behind the Heisman winner this year in Fernando Mendoza. So, Brett, I think that shows a clear inclination where Miami's at mentally with the program and what their idea is of what they want to do next season. Then you have new playoff rulings that came out today where everyone already knew about the Notre Dame and if they're inside the top 12, they're given the automatic bid. However, things were changed for the Power Four and Group of Six. So Power Four now, if you are the conference champion, you are granted an automatic bid now. The top Group of Six school, the top ranked one,
conference champion, regular season, or if you win the game,
the actual conference championship. So now they are going to weigh the conference championships more. You will not see a situation where, for example, this past season, Duke winning the conference championship, even though how all that came about is just crazy tiebreaker rules that the ACC had, they would essentially have been in the playoff this year.
Well, Duke would have been in the playoffs. Awesome. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you have all that coming about now. I think the reality is this here, Brett. I don't think Miami would want to go in as an at-large again, or, you know, just leaving it into the hands of a committee that whether they say green light or red light, stop, you're out of the party. You're be outside the club tonight. I think the biggest goal for Miami this year, you win the ACC, you're in the postseason. That should be the goal this year, this upcoming season.
Absolutely.
The ACC. So in terms of other portal acquisitions, so we already spoke about Cooper Barkate. The other two receivers Miami has added, and Cam Vaughn from West Virginia, who many people believe could play several positions for the Hurricanes at receiver. Very experienced receiver who spent his first year at Jacksonville State. His first 2 years, he redshirted as a freshman, and then spent this past year as a redshirt sophomore with West Virginia. I know when people may look at his stats, they may say, oh, well, what happened or whatever? He only had like 500 yards. West Virginia did not have good quarterback play this year. The same could be said for a vertical threat and Vandrevius Jacobs, who Miami got as a transfer from South Carolina, can take the top off of the defense. I think he's going to be a key part to Miami's offense next season. So between those guys, they added an offensive lineman today in Jamal Merriweather, who has played 2 seasons already with the Georgia Bulldogs. He's played 13 games in those 2 seasons. has some experience in the SEC, has played legitimate snaps in the SEC as well. And the expectation with him is he's capable of playing left guard, right guard, can play some right tackle as well. He's going to be that swing tackle for Miami. We'll see how the competition shakes out in spring. There's new faces coming in, some guys returning, like your Ryan Rodriguez's of the world, your Matt McCoy, Samson Okunlola. So we'll see how all that competition sorts out. But I know right before we went live, because this has been discussed heavily, at least nationally for the past week now, the Jordan Seaton decision and how he chose LSU tonight. There was a lot of deliberation back and forth there where LSU was feeling great at one point. Miami was gaining some momentum near the end, even Oregon with the in-home visit and whatnot. But he ultimately went with LSU, who had the most buzz throughout the early portion of his portal recruitment. I'll be honest, Brett, it is what it is. I know some Miami fans may be upset and whatnot. If you're wondering, like in terms of the compensation factor, Miami was very aggressive with their offer. So, and they were very big on selling the development point as well. So he wants to go to LSU. It is what it is at the end of the day. I do believe that Miami will be fine ultimately, though. Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal have continued to show year over year that they develop their offensive linemen they bring in, whether it's through the transfer portal or from the high school ranks. I think Miami will be fine. Would it have been lovely to have a Jordan Seaton type of talent? Absolutely. But you have Jackson Cantwell coming in, and you have the other guys returning that I mentioned, and even some young pieces that they're really excited about. But defensively, there's some quick hitters here. I think one of the most impactful, or outside of Darian Mensah, but the most impactful transfer that Miami could have got this cycle is absolutely Damon Wilson II from Missouri. 55 pressures last year, 9 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss. Brett, from an impact standpoint, the comparison I could make from watching the film, many people think he could be one of the top 2 or 3 pass rushers in the next draft class. I think from just a pure production standpoint, very comparative to an Akeem Mesidor as a pass rusher, like that type of level. I wouldn't say like a Reuben Bain, but somewhere between those two guys as a just pure pass rush ability and production. From that standpoint, I think it's massive for Miami to land him, especially when you lose Reuben Bain and Akeem Mesidor in one shot right here. Obviously, you have Marquise Lightfoot returning, Armando Blunt, Hayden Lowe, who was hurt this year, but was absolutely going to be a big piece of that pass rushing rotation. And then returning Ahmad Moten is the biggest guy that you had to hold on to coming back, and Justin Scott. And I can continue throwing out names here, but the bottom line is Miami has 5 former 5-stars that are going to be on their defensive line this season. And the other quite ironic thing about it, potentially the best or second best guy on that entire line is Ahmad Moten, who was a local 3-star that developed in-house. For the people who say that, oh, Miami's always taking transfers, Ahmad Moten was developed in-house by the Miami Hurricanes coaching staff. So that defensive line is still going to be very impressive. I do expect guys like Marquise Lightfoot and Armando Blunt and Hayden Lowe to take their next steps in their development. But getting Damon Wilson was an absolute must after what you saw from Reuben Bain and Akeem Mesidor this year, the best pass rushing duo in the entire country. And then just some other things here. Omar Thornton, Miami landing him earlier on in this portal cycle. Absolute thumper, physical. It's still to be determined whether he's going to be a nickel or at safety. Miami will figure it out along the way once he's here and practicing. But yeah, and potentially potentially 2 more additions could be on the way. Miami's still been involved with Nebraska defensive lineman Keona Davis, who started 13 games this year. Cornhuskers in the Big Ten. He's only played 2 years of college football. He'll be a true junior next year. 6'5", 275, can play all across the defensive line, interior, outside. everything you can think of. And then a familiar name that I know Miami has had some level of interest that I mentioned a couple of days back, Conrad Hussey. If people remember him, he played at St. Thomas Aquinas a few years back, was coached under Jason Taylor when he was the defensive coordinator at St. Thomas Aquinas as well. So that I'm not entirely sure yet if Miami's going to take him or not, but there has been some level of interest. So we'll see as the days go by. And, that's pretty much the quick hitter portal update for everyone in general. But yeah, I know some people are upset about the Seton thing, but again, it is what it is. Miami was aggressive with their offer. They did everything they absolutely could. For the people wondering if maybe the Mensa situation and the whole legal proceedings could have impeded on that, from my understanding, no. It's just Seton is basically an LSU Miami thing for the most part, and he chose LSU.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think. He gave up a chance at being in the championship game, Lane Kiffin. He went to LSU. He got the quarterback, but he needed to show a lot more. So they could have, and I heard he had a huge budget. So I'm sure whatever it took, they were going to make that deal. He needed to look good. He couldn't just go over there and lose to Miami multiple times. He won the quarterback battle, correct? Who else did he get, Kiffin?
What, for LSU?
Yeah.
They landed Prince Will Umanlian, who was one of the top pass rushers alongside Damon Wilson in the SEC this past season. He got him to transfer from Ole Miss to LSU. And you mentioned Sam Levitt as well, who they landed. So, yeah, I mean, look, LSU is throwing around a lot of money right now, but this is not so much just the compensation factor. It's just Seton chose LSU.
That's fine, too. So, I guess, it's been great so far. We got someone in the defensive backfield also, didn't we?
Yes, I mentioned him, Omar Thornton.
So Mensa, I think it's kind of ironic that Manny Diaz had signed with Temple. I'm going to be Temple's coach. He signed. He was there for a day. And then Miami said, wait, we want you back. And he said, okay, forget about it, Temple. I'm leaving. But on Mensa, so nobody sued him, I don't think. Maybe Miami paid a little bit of a buyout there. But now Mensa was with Tulane, wasn't he, before? And they went ahead. He got poached by Duke from Tulane. Wasn't he at Tulane or somewhere, Mensa?
Yes, he was at Tulane the year prior. So
and Mensa, he got poached. So he played 1 year. I mean, they only gave him $4 million. They didn't give him the whole $8 million. They gave him $4 million, right? He had a 2-year contract for $8 million. So if Miami has to pay something, it's hard to imagine they're going to keep the guy there. So Mensa would come to Miami with the wide receiver. I mean, it is a possibility that the Miami could be the ranked number one. If they get Mensa and they get the wide receiver, them or LSU, or maybe one or two other teams. We should be finishing this season number 2 in the country, which we did, which was pretty awesome. I don't know how Alabama finished number 9. That's another story entirely. Okay, losing the way they did the last couple of games, but we could, I think, be the top team in the country going into the season. Don't you think so?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think a fair ranking for Miami going into next season, as long as everything goes through with Mensa, which is the expectation and anticipation, just even around the program. And you get Barcade and you finish up with another guy or two here that they're still working on. I think at minimum, Miami should be that top 5, 6, 7 range in preseason rankings. I think that's fair, especially watching the run that they're coming up off of, and what they're adding and what they have returning to. I know several people are like, oh, well, they lost Francis and they lost Bell and everything. Just the news flash for people. A year ago, Markel Bell was not even the type of prospect he is today. How did that happen? The development, the guys that are coaching him on the offensive line, and Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal. So I think people need to pump the brakes a little bit on Miami's offensive line taking a massive step back. Do I expect some growing pains? Absolutely. Francis Mauanoa had some growing pains as a freshman. He wasn't the prospect he is today, but he was still really good as a true freshman. I think those are reasonable expectations for a guy like Jackson Cantwell. Mind you, Jackson Cantwell had valuable experience coming in early during this playoff run, and the amount of practices he got in with the team throughout this period of time in the winter. So, will there be some growing pains? Yes, but for anyone who anticipates Miami's offensive line to just be terrible all of a sudden, that's not going to happen. And mind you, another thing too, yes, you lose Brockermeyer, you lose Malinois, you lose Cooper, and you lose Bell. However, you have 3 guys returning this year that have played a lot of snaps, 2 that essentially have been co-starters for some time now, in Samson Okunlola and Matthew McCoy. And then people forget this unless you watch the tape. Ryan Rodriguez has played a lot of snaps for Miami this past year. And even SJ Alofaituli was on the field quite a bit this season as well. So it's not like Miami's throwing in guys that are green that have never seen the field or played significant snaps in games this season. And even in the postseason too, those guys have seen the field. So you mix that in with what you have coming in from the high school ranks, what you're bringing in from the transfer portal and everything. Miami will be fine on the offensive line. I think, you asked me personally, the additions at wide receiver, I think Miami will be better at wide receiver. I think Miami naturally will be better at tight end, to be honest with you, Brett, as well. Because, yes, Elijah Lofton didn't have the big season that many anticipated. However, he will be returning. It's another off season for him to have preparation, get ready for the next year. And you have some talented guys coming in, and one returning who many people are excited about, and Luka Gilbert, Gavin Mueller coming in, Israel Briggs. If Miami can't find something in that tight end room between those guys, then yeah, they have a problem. Mind you, their tight ends coach just moved on. There's going to be a new tight end coach coming in relatively soon before spring practices begin the first week of March. So I think just offensively, Brett, Miami's going to be fine. I see no issues for Miami. Yes, small step back on the offensive line, some growing pains, but they're not going to be terrible. And you add a guy like Mensah, and then you have Mark Fletcher returning. You were able to retain Gerard Pringle, Shamar Brown expected back. There's a lot of key pieces returning, and I haven't even mentioned Malachi Toney coming back too. Miami's going to be fine offensively. They have a lot of guys returning on the defensive line. You're getting Mohamed Toure back for another year. Another year he is removed from the significant injury he had at Rutgers. When I think if people watched the playoff run or the late portion of the season, Mohamed Toure started picking up steam as the season went on. So I think that should have people excited for what he could potentially be next year, another year removed from the injury. There's some people that have some expectations from Kamal Bonner to rise during the offseason. We'll see if that takes place. You have young pieces like Kellen Wiley and Cam Pruitt that have flashed at linebacker. And your defensive backs, you return most of your defensive backfield outside of, yes, Keontae Scott is a massive loss, and Jacoby Thomas, yes, too. However, you have Bryce Fitzgerald returning. You've brought in some young, talented players as well. And then you brought Omar Thornton into the mix. And Miami brought in 2 kickers to compete, and you return your punter. Miami hasn't lost a ton. Like, yes, they've lost guys, but they've replaced, and they have talented freshmen coming in that are going to play significant snaps this next season. And one last guy to highlight as well, Brett, Samarian Wingo, the wide receiver Miami's bringing in. Just remember that name. Remember that name right now for this. Samarian Wingo. Between guys like him, Gavin Mueller, and J.J. Dunnigan, outside of Jackson Cantwell, those are 3 freshmen I've had mentioned to me that have really impressed early on since they've been in the program the last few weeks.
Well, you know, when we talk about the portal, we talk about all these players, we don't really talk about the freshmen like you're bringing up now. But if you think about the 3 freshmen, if we did not have those 3 freshmen, there may have been others. We didn't have Malachi, who obviously was key to winning games. We didn't have Pringle, who was obviously key to winning games when Fletcher was down. And Fitzgerald, obviously Texas A&M, we may not even advance past that first round without his 2 key interceptions, including that big one at the end of the game. So without those freshmen, you know, we possibly don't get nearly. We may not even get to we probably don't get to the playoffs without Malachi.
The the greatest thing about that, the guy that was expected to possibly make the biggest impact, at least defensively, of those guys you named, Hayden Lowe, sat out basically the entire year because of his injury. He was going to play significant snaps this year.
No, that's spectacular. And a freshman that showed some promise last year, wide receiver, Joshua Moore. I mean, he was, he, for whatever reason, second year, sometimes it just clicks for these guys. I'm still confused about what we're going to do about the running back situation. I mean, Fletcher came back, which is awesome. I still confused, but he came back. Probably his stock probably couldn't be much higher. But I thought the same thing about the guy that plays for the Colts now when he left college after he played 2,000-yard years. What's his name again? The guy for the Colts.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. He said, okay, this guy can go to the pros and go to the pros. But so Fletcher can get better, obviously. But how are they going to divide that ball? Right now, it's Fletcher, it's Pringle, who didn't get many snaps. I know he said that he was not the best pass blocker. Shamar Brown, who showed some, and then Lyles. Lyles still on the team?
To this point, yes. Lyle dealt with that injury he had through most of the year, the high ankle sprain, tried to come back from it. Never really was right again. They kind of shut him down for the rest of the year. At least for now, he's still on the team. We'll see. Shamar Brown intends to return. We'll see if that holds. And Gerard Pringle has announced, at least publicly, that yes, that he is returning. So I think it's an interesting situation how they divvy up those touches. I think at the end of the day, there's always going to be one guy that's upset, because I go back to the previous season when Miami had Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle and A.J. Allen. I thought A.J. Allen was a pretty good player, but unfortunately, just limited touches for him and whatnot. And he had some moments, and hey, he decided to move on. Mind you, A.J. Allen's actually in the portal right now.
I was going to say, what did A.J. Allen do this year?
He had a decent year, actually. So from what I understand, I think he was a little banged up early in the season for Tulsa, because originally he went to FIU. Apparently he didn't like it there, and then decided he wanted to go somewhere else. So he went to Tulsa, was a little banged up early in the year, and then like in their last 4 or 5 games, he had like 450, 500 yards, like in all those games that he played in and everything. He was productive.
No, he's definitely got that extra gear. He's got power. But I do find that people, and we all do, that go into the portal. If you go into the portal once, chances are you're going in more than once. If you don't go, I mean, there are players that still don't go in the portal. It's not as often anymore. Like the Restrepos that play 5 years, and other players, and hopefully Malachi is here the whole time, and others. Obviously, we had several guys going to the NFL this year with Bain and Mauanaga. But if once you go to the portal, it seems like you keep bouncing in the portal. Once you leave a team, it's not as easy to stay with that other team. It just continuously, these guys are moving along, which I know is a negative, I think, in life. It's like you're leaving the competition. I was glad to see Pringle stay. I mean, he had, for a freshman, he had a good season. He just didn't play in the playoffs. He had what do you have, like 5 touchdowns, 50 yards or so?
Yeah, late in the season, yeah. So
he had, just got to work on things. But I don't know what they did. I know they convinced him. It's, the grass is not always greener on the other side. But I was glad to see him come back, because you want those guys.
I think one of the biggest things that played a factor there is the relationship between him and running back coach Matt Merritt, because Gerard Pringle, at least when he was a recruit early on in his recruiting process, not many big schools were on him. USF was one of the first, and that's where Matt Merritt used to coach, at USF. And when he came to Miami, he brought Pringle down, and Miami took his commitment and everything. And then all the big schools came running, like Georgia started running in, and Alabama and Florida and Auburn. All these programs started running in to go after him, because they're like, wait a minute, why is this kid committing to Miami? So that relationship has really steadied the waters over time, and even to now.
I would love to see Pringle get the ball on those quick screens, and that he gets it, because he's so quick at hitting the hole. that he could really go. You know, he could be like Malachi 2.0. I just think he can hit that hole really quickly, as we've seen, plus going out of the backfield. I think they could have used him more this year. Hopefully they do. Is there any talk about Dawson? Some people said he's gone. What's the latest on that?
I got no comment on it, honestly. I've seen some people mention things and whatnot. I'm going to be honest with you, Brett. I haven't heard anything concrete from anyone that I would from people that I speak to, that I respect and what they share with me. I've not heard a single peep about Dawson or any of that situation. So,
all right. So
for what it's worth,
status quo right now on the coaching staff, except for the tight end coach, correct?
Yes.
All right. Special team coach, who was handling the special teams last year? And I don't bring that up because special teams obviously was a fiasco in this last game, and obviously cost us the game in many ways. But who is the special team coach?
I know Danny Coulter has handled some of that as well. Actually, hold on. I don't want to get this wrong because I know Coulter was handling it the year before. He is still with Miami, Danny Coulter. So he was initially like GA level, like sort of staff with Miami, and then moved up to that position. Look, I'm not going to rag on the guy. I don't think it's necessarily on the special teams coach that missed block.
No, I don't think so as well.
And I hate to single out a player. I'm not going to say it by name, but 87, he has to. I mean, there has to be more effort there. You're playing in a national championship. You can't just love tap the guy who's coming right at you. There's no excuse for that.
Especially that's where the punter goes, to the right. So it didn't make any sense. Preceding that, Malachi fired the ball at the 5-yard line. He ran back to field that ball. It was a beautiful punt. Obviously.
Yeah, well, actually, one of the things about that punt leading up to that, so that Malachi return, which is like right before that blocked punt, like a few plays before, Miami was actually setting up for a trick play there.
It looked like a trick play. It looked like he was going back.
My class view shows it. You see another player running back from the gunner team, and like no one is near him.
It would have been amazing.
Like trying to set it up for a lateral to the other side of the field.
It would have been a long pass, similar to when we did it. Was it Dallas Crawford that threw that pass across the field in the lateral game? That I think that was it. So, no, I saw that. And obviously, that play could have changed the whole game because if we have a blockbuster play there, they don't get the block punt there. And that's just the way how close the game was. But you're right. That was set up there. And that's maybe why Malachi went and caught the ball, because it was set up to be a play like that. It would have shocked everybody. But a lot of people blame the block punt on the game. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a whole game played. I mean, even with that block punt, we had a chance to win the game. Obviously, we all know about the pass thrown into the cover 2. It was still only Beck knows why he threw that ball. Obviously, I thought he was open when he threw the ball, but we were thinking, we had 3 timeouts, the ball at the 50-yard line. I think pretty much every Cane fan thought this is going to be it. And when when the confetti went off and it was red and white, I thought that was supposed to be orange and green. And you heard the pow pow, but great game. I mean, I thought we started off a little tentatively in the first half. I thought we were just running the ball right up the middle. I think we could have gone a little bit more outside. Fletcher's touchdown was to the outside. I thought, the Malachi reverse. I thought we could have done a few more things, but it is what it is. We played well. I think we just got to be better on offense to win it all. That team was no better than us. And people say we had to play the perfect game. We didn't play our best game. Probably on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say we played a 6 of a game.
Miami beat themselves. That's all it is.
They totally beat themselves. Fernando, great kid, it seems. Those two passes he made, the 4th down long pass on the back shoulder, the run he had was amazing. So I don't think he's a first-round pick, but now I see that Tom Brady is going to personally tutor him if he goes to the Raiders, which is he's that type of quarterback. Tom Brady was not a guy that throws the ball long either. So we'll see what happens there. But we got beat. The Indiana story was great. Our story would have been fantastic. But either way, great season, fantastic season. Like you said, we're not rebuilding, we're reloading. We're going to be probably a top 5 team, which is we have not been a top 5 team since when to start the season?
Oh, you have to go back to I think 2003 or 2004.
And that will energize the fan base. It's going to be exciting. I mean, it's going to be very exciting next year. I know the Canes fans are all excited right now, and we're pumped. We're pumped as well. So I don't know if Mondo's going to join us. Maybe he'll jump in. He's taking care of the kids, obviously.
Yeah,
so
I want to take some questions.
Yes,
here.
let's take some questions.
I think we spoke enough.
Absolutely.
On everything, the game and whatnot. And look, Brett, one last comment I'll say. Miami will be back. I saw some overreactions afterwards saying, oh, this is a once in a lifetime. No. If you've been paying attention to how that roster has been constructed year over year and how they're doing it, Miami will be back. I'm not here proclaiming that, oh, Miami's going to be in the national championship again next year. I don't know right now, but
that's a goal. It's very difficult. We got to appreciate just getting there.
But in terms of the conversation and actually being in it, like in the postseason and competing for national championship, Miami will be in that conversation. They will, because
they said the same thing last year, Gio, without Cam Ward. Cam Ward, if we can't win with Cam Ward, we can never win again. And I thought we won 5 championships without Cam Ward. So, but it's like you got to rebuild every team. Great players.
Oh, well, I saw someone say, because the whole quarterback situation, like Miami's figured it out every year back to back to back now. And some people were like, oh, we're gonna fall to 7-5. I'm like, the roster is not constructed to fall to being a 7-5 team. Like, you're crazy for saying that. Anyone who said that, 7-5, that's insane.
That is insane. That's a little overreacting. I mean, I think this team, if we went with one of the young quarterbacks, we can win 9 games with the team we have around them. And that's all we have is young quarterbacks, because Emery is left for the transfer portal, correct?
Yeah, he went to East Carolina.
So he's probably feeling that we're bringing in a quarterback. So if Mensah comes in and we get his receiver too, I just think that's a 1-2 punch that's going to put us, like I say, in the upper echelon, top 3 to 4.
Look, I'll put it to you this way, Brett. Both Malachi and Barcade, they are 2 of the top 5 receivers returning to college football next season in terms of production. You have Jeremiah Smith, Malachi Toney, Cooper Barcade, KJ Duff, and I feel like I can't remember the name of the other, but basically 2 and 3 could be on the same team very soon.
That'd be spectacular. And to have the second best quarterback in the nation throwing to them, who did not have a lot. What do you have? 35 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I love when that interception number is low. I mean, I was concerned about the guy that went to LSU, that I didn't think he was super accurate.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. I think what people could expect, as long as everything goes smooth with Mensah, which I anticipate to, he can help in the factor of the off-script stuff, like when you got to roll out of the pocket and the pocket breaks down and everything, despite, Miami still is going to have a good offensive line. He can help in that factor. I think Levitt's more of a running threat compared to Mensah, like just in terms of getting downfield. But I think Mensah fits perfectly for what Miami likes to do offensively. Honestly, I think he fits a little more organically than Beck did. Actually, I don't want to throw Cam Ward comparisons or whatever, but the fit is more similar to that, and I expect you'll see more of Miami's offense looking the way it did the year prior.
So if we can put that together with the defense that Ward never had. Not to say, but Ward was a throw first, run second guy. Ward did anything not to run, and he's not running a lot in the NFL either. So that's okay. If a guy can use his feet to scramble out of trouble and make a play, we see a lot of broken plays happen where teams score or get big gains because the pocket breaks down. He's got to scramble out. Everything is now changing, especially if you have dynamic wide receivers. So I'm excited. Let's see what happens. January 29th. I didn't realize that. So we'll have to have a big party if when Mensa is coming. That's for sure.
So let's see some of the comments here. 305 Kane God. I don't think he's a Mario kind of guy. Too much being in the spotlight don't seem like about a team. I think he's talking about Jordan Seaton. One Manuel, thank you, and always welcome here. He's always stopping by. The guys are back from the mothership. Yes, we are. He said, so it's been a boring few days around Coral Gables. Has anything interesting happened? A few things happened since the last show. Uncle Luke says hi. He is a fan of Gio and Brett, but has beef with Mondo. And then he said,
we better not have Philip Dorsett on the program.
Yeah. He said, Luke is fickle like that. He is jealous of Mondo's muscles and arms. Wait, isn't Luke 65? He should qualify for AR. Oh, my God. Okay, so Juan Manuel shared. Gio, how is the state of Miami's roster doing? I'm concerned with the tight end room, defensive tackle room, offensive line room. Is Miami looking to address these rooms? A linebacker, or two would be nice. There's not necessarily a linebacker out there right now that I'm aware of that Miami wants. The one they were super interested in, and he was actually telling people he was going to come, Rasheem Biles from Pitt. Texas ended up offering a lot of money, and he ended up going there. And I also heard some issues there about credits transferring over as well. But tight end room, yeah, I have the same concerns you do. Like, you return Lofton, Luka Gilbert has some potential. You bring in two very young, talented guys in terms of Gavin Mueller and Israel Briggs. It's nice to hear that there's good early returns on Gavin Mueller. But I think this same thing as I mentioned some moments ago, that if you can't find someone out of those guys, I think there's a problem there. I think there's a problem if you can't, because it's not like they're not bringing in talent. The other thing, you're going to have a new tight end coach coming in, so we'll see how that all meshes together. In terms of the defensive tackle room, I am absolutely not concerned. Miami's they're bringing in 5 guys that could play D tackle. All of them are here now, true freshmen. You brought in Jarquez Carter. You're returning Ahmad Moten and Justin Scott as well. You potentially could land Keona Davis, who started 12 games in the Big Ten this year and was actually decently productive as well. Played multiple spots on the line. And then Armando Blunt can also play defensive tackle as well, aside from playing the edge. And I know Hayden Lowe is capable of doing some of that too. So I think D tackle is fine. Offensive line, I get what people are saying. Like, I mentioned about the amount of experience that is returning back that people may not realize. However, potential growing pains with Jackson Cantwell, even though I think he's going to be a little ahead of the curve compared to Francis Mauanoa. Francis Mauanoa was not here as early as Jackson Cantwell has been. And then I understand it, though, like people, because of the Seaton thing and whatnot, I still think Miami's going to be fine, though. Just based on what they have returning, what they're bringing in, and then the coaching factor as well. I don't expect it to just become terrible all overnight. Andy Adamus shared the U. Absolutely, the U.
All right, Andy. Andy, by the way, volunteered a lot in the store, hanging shirts, doing everything. Andy, we had a ton of volunteers that were helping out just because they love the Canes, love CanesWear. And Andy, thank you so much for helping out. We appreciate that. Great guy. So you need a car service, Andy's your guy.
Yes. Craig Madero shared here. What other offensive lineman is out there that Miami might get with Seaton going to LSU? Anyone worth getting? None that I'm aware of at this point. They just added Jamal Merriweather today, who I spoke about earlier. But we'll see if anything else pops up. Well, I don't know so much about that because portal basically closes up officially for Miami and Indiana tomorrow.
Okay.
And then you have that 48-hour up to 48-hour processing time for players' names to officially be in the database. So we'll see, but I don't think anything else is gonna come through. Hassan,
just one question, Gio. How many guys were, because Miami was blessed this year, did not have a lot of injuries, so we didn't see these guys play. We went with pretty much the same offensive line pretty much the whole year. So we have, like you said, a lot of quality backups that nobody even really follows.
Yeah,
obviously
I think of any of the reserve offensive linemen that have left, I think if you ask me, the one I would have preferred for Miami to try to bring back maybe would have been Tommy Kinsler, but he wants a bigger role, and there was no guarantee that he was going to start next year either. He's already been in the program for 3 years, so it is what it is. However, in terms of other departures, I have been told potentially that it could be another defensive end leaving the program, potentially a linebacker, and offensive lineman as well, potentially one more, and maybe a running back. If you're on the private board, you're probably aware of some of these names. I've already mentioned it, but we'll see. I don't think, not anticipating anything like super significant that's going to have people like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Jacoby Grag. Oh, wait, no, Hassan shared here. That slimy Kiffin has done it again. Yep. Jacoby Grags, go Canes.
Go Canes, Jacoby.
Let's see. Jacoby Grag shared here. I think we would be just fine. We still have like 18 linemen. Somebody's got to pan out. I agree. Miami has a lot of offensive linemen returning and joining the team. Juan Manuel Sampson is your best option. Joel Irvin's coming in. Ben Cogden with 9 months of training. Joel Irvin in particular may surprise. His potential is high. Yes. The thing with Joel Irvin, from what I understand, it's more like a coaching thing. Like the body type is there already. They're going to refine that a little more through strength and conditioning, but more of like a coaching thing. Ben Congdon is more like a strength and conditioning situation. So we'll see. Hassan shared here. We should have offered Seaton more. Seaton Cantwell would have been deadly. Jacoby Graggs, true. I like Irvin too a lot. Great. Howard Stern said, great effing season.
Howard Stern is positive. Next thing he's going to say Mario for Coach of the Year.
Juan Manuel. One thing I could say about tackle position, they have the bodies and talent. They do have the bodies and the talent, yes. Just very young. Irvin excites me with January, spring, summer workouts. Yeah. Mr. Hay.
DTs this year than last year, I think. Because I just think we're going to be better and deeper at DT this year.
Yeah. Mr. Hay put, hello, guys. What's
Hello,
up?
Mr. Hay.
He said, we are champions. I might be an Indiana fan. Kim Sanchez. Hello, my favorite people. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. Kim, wonderful girl.
Wayne Weinstein. Brett,
Wayne, another person that helped out in the store. Thank you very much, Wayne.
Andy Adamas again. The U.
All right, Andy.
Corey Harding from Facebook. Do you have 4XL gear?
Yes, we carry up to 5X in most items. Some things we do go smaller, but 4X is popular. We've got a lot of starter jackets. By the way, we sold so many starter jackets that they ran out. We do have 4X, 5X in jackets. We have plenty of shirts. We do go up to Corey. We do go up to 5X. So plenty of stuff in the store for the larger guy sizes.
Andy Adamas again. Hello. 1 milligram of epinephrine. Hey, look who's back. Yes, we are back.
The boys are back.
Juan Manuel. We should use Seaton's money on a tight end defensive tackle line. Oh, the thing is, it's not that many remaining. Hassan, what a wonderful new season to start listening to Gio and Brett. And Mondo also, when he's not upset when the Lakers lose.
Mondo's got a powwow with LeBron right now.
Mr. Hey, I have something I want you guys to discuss. If Malachi did not fair catch that on the 4 or 5 yard line, then that block punt at the goal line, that might not have happened or hurt us. True in essence. However, Miami was lined up in safe punt. Like I said, I'm not going to say the kid's name, but 87 has to do better. You cannot love tap the guy coming at you. Just let him walk through. Like I don't want to rag on the kid. Everyone has seen it a million times over. It is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Malachi, I mean, some people have commented the Malachi going back to get that catch. It was set up, like you said, it looked like
a
that
trick
the guy on the other side was going for the trick, which would have worked great. The guy just blasted the ball, got a great punt, and we don't know. The ball could have bounced straight up, and it could have gone to the 1 yard line. So it's hard. We play the result a lot of times. We play the block punt, but the Canes came back. No matter what, they came back. Every time we got down by more than a touchdown, we came right back. So it's and obviously we didn't score every time we were down less than a touchdown, or we would have had the lead. So there's no guarantee we would have scored, even if they don't get the block punt. They're going to get the ball probably about the 50-yard line. They're still going to get great field position. And who knows then? It may run the clock down a little bit. I mean, it's hard to say one play made the difference in a game. I know you can say, well, that's 7 points. We lost by 6. But you know what? A whole game was still going on. That's my take, at least.
So Wayne Weinstein, the crowds at CanesWear were crazy national championship game weekend. They absolutely were. I stopped by Friday and Saturday, especially Friday for that pep rally. Jesus Christ. So many people there.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Thank you, Wayne.
One Manuel shared, are there just no good tight ends or defensive tackle available? Well, Miami's still in play for a D tackle. Well, defensive lineman or sorts. So you can play D tackle and end. Mentioned him earlier, Keona Davis from Nebraska. Jacoby Graggs. We can grab all three. Okay. 818 Cali Kane said, Seton made a bad choice, but hey, money talks. Yeah, well, Miami was aggressive with their offer too. It is what it is.
Considering what he's seen the Miami offensive line do, I don't know who's at LSU, but I don't think they could have a better pedigree than Marivelle and Mario as their tutors.
Absolutely not.
That's like a defensive end. Why would any defensive end want to go anywhere else than to play for Jason Taylor?
Yeah. Atlanta Canes. Man, I'm getting nervous about Mensa. The longer it takes seems bad for us. Relax. And
I believe the only reason he's in the transfer portal was to go to Miami. I mean, Miami couldn't get the quarterback they wanted, so they said, we're just going to go get another quarterback. And I don't think he's in there in this if he wasn't planning on coming to Miami.
There you go. Well, and the other thing with the legal situation, like I mentioned earlier, injunction hearing was moved up from February 2nd to January 29th. Sometimes in these cases, both parties may come to a settlement even before it gets to a hearing. We'll see.
Miami says here's $2 million. I mean, obviously it's or something. That was a rumor, $10 million, $6 million for him, $4 million for Duke. I know it was a rumor, but you remember there was a player 2 years ago. Is he coming? Is he not coming? No, he's going to the NFL. Now he's coming. So we obviously want Mensa to get this decision. The wide receiver has not committed to us, correct? He's waiting on Mensa?
Yeah, he's waiting on him.
Okay. But when do these guys have to decide?
Well, here's the thing. So I mentioned earlier about Miami's enrollment date was technically for ad drop. Their final date was the 21st, and then there was extension made to the 23rd and whatnot, which was today. The other thing I'll bring up, administration has said this as well, that they would make potential exceptions because of the unique case of how long they went through the season relative to enrollment dates. So it complicates things.
President Joe, it's President Joe, right? He's obviously a football fan. This isn't Donna Shalala's time, which would have said there is absolutely no way we're going to have an extra day.
For the people worried about it, about that aspect, relax. That'll be fine.
He's very much into football.
Seton is going to be a top 10 pick in the draft, so him getting more back before then is smart. Jose Gonzalez, yes. All right. H. Canes, Miami spending better than topping $4 million due to LSU is giving more. You wish him the best. You don't go over what you can for a player in this day. Very true.
True.
Let's see. One Manuel Gio. Is Sampson ready to be the left tackle? I think Sampson's more of a guard. I think if you see anyone potentially kick out the tackle, I think the first guy you'd see would possibly be Matt McCoy, actually. Jay Pencraft. Any chance we try to keep Kinsler with Seton going to LSU? Haven't heard that to this point. I know Auburn's interested in him. Texas A&M's interested in Kinsler as well. We'll see.
Is every player, until they sign, allowed to come back if we want them, correct?
Yes, they can come back.
Brian signed anywhere yet?
Yes, he signed with Missouri.
Okay.
But that was more of a plan in place, basically, that both sides came to an agreement early on in the season that he would redshirt and then he was going to leave after the year. Atlanta Canes, Notre Dame and Texas Tech automatically in next year with their high school schedules. Yeah, Notre Dame's schedule is really weird. By the way, on Monday afternoon, the ACC schedule will be released. I do want to mention, though, I'm not saying for sure this happens, but I spoke with someone very close to things that go on with Miami internally. And this was mentioned to me over the weekend before the national championship that there is discussions, not that this is set in stone. I don't know if the ACC is going to want to do this. There was potential discussions. I know it was 3 teams, 2 of them that I could remember for week 1 for Miami. It could potentially be an ACC game, actually. Florida State was mentioned, and Duke was mentioned potentially as a week 1 matchup.
Okay.
I think a lot of people would really enjoy the Labor Day game coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you remember that, Brett, when Miami and Florida State would play Labor Day?
Yeah,
I don't know if they want to do
that.
that. Yeah, I don't know if they want to do that with all the week 1 slate matchups that are set.
Are we slated to play? So we don't even know yet. Obviously,
we don't know yet. No.
Last year, it's always the game. Last year,
but 2 of the teams. There was 3 teams mentioned to me, and 2 of the 3 that came up. It was, I can't remember the third now, but it was Duke, Florida State. This is just a little insider here that I'm sharing on the podcast. So,
we don't want Notre Dame because we know how that thing went. We want to play them late in the season.
Yeah, that's already set in stone for November 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. J Cash Co. Are we getting rid of? Already spoke about that. Juan Manuel, that's not a good thing with ACC. Weird tiebreakers. Yeah, on the ACC tiebreakers, they're going to have to address that because you saw how much Miami did for the ACC actually in the playoffs and how the narrative completely changed about the ACC as a conference. If I'm the ACC, in terms of tiebreaker rules, your number 1 rule should be, and there should be no other rule after this, your number 1 rule should be whoever is your highest ranked college football, like the college football playoff rankings, whoever is the highest team in that, they should win the tiebreaker and go into the championship game.
Correct.
Bottom line, you want your best shot to have teams in that playoff. That's what they should do.
There's a way. So let's just say that happens, though. The best, and they lose that game, then you may have, you're still, we said, a conference champion's automatically going to get in. But for us, it was better, like we said, it turned out better for us not to play in that game because we got in. We obviously would have wanted to get in. And technically, if we play in that championship game and beat Virginia, then Notre Dame is the team that would have got in. Notre Dame would have got in with us. And and then the Power 4, they would have been out, the other team.
Yeah.
JMU probably. So Notre Dame, for us, not being in the tiebreaker game and playing Virginia, which we probably would have beat, okay, then Notre Dame really lost out on that. We didn't, which is kind of ironic.
So CMB 7686, guys, do you think we will pick up any linebackers from the portal? None that I anticipate right now. One of the guys that they were interested in, but mentioned it earlier, the bio situation, and there's some issues with credits there as well. And then Texas offered a lot of money as well, and is what it is.
Wesley Besant is moving on, correct?
Yes.
Is he out of eligibility?
Yes, he's out of eligibility.
And Popo also.
No, he still has eligibility, but yeah. Kenneth Lopez, the best price rusher on the team, the pass rusher on the team is Booker Pickett. I've yet to see the kid from Chicago, the 5-star, or the other guy from Miami Northwest. In the end, they got moved inside. Let's see. Craig Medeiros, Gio, any other guys from Miami going into the portal, or hopefully Miami? You spoke about that just a little while ago. Hassan shared here, Gio, any linebacker news? Hearing Miami might lose a linebacker. You heard correctly. It may happen. We'll see. Brett, I'll mention it to you when I can or whatever, but something that I've been hearing for a few weeks now.
All right.
I don't think it's something that people are necessarily going to get super mad about, but yeah. Juan Manuel, Gio, so has Jordan Lyle staying or hitting the portal? We'll see. I know the last thing I heard some weeks back, he was still deliberating on whether to stay or potentially
hard to imagine we're going to have 4 running backs. It's just we had 4 running backs the year though. The year before we had 4 running backs, and all of them had decent seasons. So,
James Kane shared Ryan Rodriguez couldn't stay healthy. He was healthy this year, and SJ is too small. Look, Alex Mirabal He's said it actually during the playoff interviews before the national championship. He said he's going to have Ryan Rodriguez and SJ compete. Another guy that could be in that mix there, JJ Sparks, who Miami just brought in as a true freshman. He's already on campus. And I believe there's one other guy on the line that's actually capable of playing center. I can't remember now. There's another guy. But we'll see how the competition shakes out. 1 milligram of epinephrine. We don't want Miami ranked top 5 to 7 preseason. Mario is a 10-plus point favorite. Ain't pretty.
Well, no, the thing is, number one, we don't have any say. And number two is the team that's highest ranked at the beginning usually has a chance to come back again with a loss. So where you ranked at the beginning usually helps you later on. I don't know how it works if you're not SEC, though.
Juan Manuel, why would LSU be ranked top 5? I doubt Lane Kiffin can get that team of mercenaries to play together without challenges. Levitt, no spring practice, and LSU is in win now mode. Yeah, I think the Lane Kiffin situation at LSU is going to be interesting. They obviously didn't have a great season this past year. There was a lot of disappointment. They had a quarterback in Nussmeier who was a projected like top 15 guy, and his stock totally plummeted. We'll see.
Ranked high though with Levitt and now and Seton. I think they're going to be ranked high. And it's Kiffin.
Reposted the stream.
All right, thank you, Shad Kane.
OG Canes, it was good meeting you, Brett. My family enjoyed the shopping experience there.
Thank you, OG Canes. Great meeting you. Appreciate you coming by.
Mr. Hey, is our offensive line going to be as big as this year's offensive line? Let's just say for hypothetical. So Cantwell is about 6'7". I know Matt McCoy is about 6'5", 6'6". Samson Oklahoma is about 6'5", 6'6". Any other potential guys in there? Ryan Rodriguez is about 6'2". I know SJ's like 6 foot, 6'1", around there.
The kid from Georgia is 6'5", right? But does he have a chance to start?
No, the kid from Georgia is actually 6'7".
6'7". He's 6'7", 305? Okay.
6'7", 305, yeah. So he has quite a bit of experience at guard, actually, that maybe he could end up being one of the guards if they move Matt McCoy out to tackle. We'll see how everything shakes out. But I think just from a size perspective, because James Brockermeyer was not that big as a center either. He was about 6'2", give or take. He's around the same size as Ryan Rodriguez, actually. So I think it could be roughly the same size, maybe slightly lighter. But, yeah.
I saw that Bell's projection was like 6th or 7th round. If that is the case, why would he go?
I don't think Markel Bell is going to go 6th or 7th round. I think he'll go much higher than that.
Okay, I hope so. Because if you are going that low, it's crazy to go in the draft.
Hassan shared here. He said, hopefully Miami can bring back Todd Hartley or James Coley for tight end coach. And they're also great recruiters. Yes, both are really good recruiters.
Great.
If you asked me, who would I love for Miami to bring in that spot? Todd Hartley, a great recruiter, great coach. He always gets the most out of his rooms as well. Not saying it happens, but I know Mario Cristobal really wanted him when he first arrived here. That didn't happen at the time. You know, maybe the second time coming around now, maybe it works out. Soulful Spirit, they getting that Mally start. Howard Stern said Wingo's going to be amazing. Yeah, there's been a lot of good early reviews on Wingo. Guys like Wingo, Mueller, and Dunnigan. 1 milligram of epinephrine. Brett, you mentioned a few weeks ago something about collecting money for a lawsuit. Well, I think we need to file a class action lawsuit against Bauman.
Yeah, that was if we didn't get in for sure. But I think Bauman is like Bartman from the Chicago Cubs. When he interfered with the ball, it's always going to be a name that lives in infamy in Canes. Also had that chance at that reception, too. I don't know if he dropped it or if it was tipped or whatever, but poor Bauman. Just all you got to do is give effort. If he would have given, it's not like he missed the block. He just didn't seem to give the effort.
Jacoby Graggs, it's a long season, Brett. These running backs get bruised up with how much we pound the ball. Very true.
We've been very lucky that our running backs really – I totally agree. Because remember a few years ago, everybody was getting hurt.
Yeah, well, you had Fletcher miss a few games this year.
Yeah,
Jordan Lyle missed a lot of the season.
Great point. Great point, Jacoby. I agree on that. It's just that you don't want anybody to get hurt, but you're right. It is a long season. Why not go behind this great offensive line? Well, I mean, all these kids are getting paid anyway. And all you really need, as we know, is one great season in college football to be a high draft pick. That's all you need now. One great season.
Ryan Davis shared here, definitely can't retain everyone. Glad we still have Lyle and Pringle. Yeah, but I still think it's going to be difficult. Like, no matter which way it shakes, it's very difficult to see Miami holding on to all three of, like, Brown, Lyle, and Pringle. Like, even though Pringle's announced he's coming back, Brown has been leaning towards coming back for a few days now. We'll see. We'll see. Very tough to do that.
Don't we have a freshman that's pretty good right here too now?
Davian Mallory, yeah, who just came in. Juan Manuel, if we lose Lyle, bring back AJ Allen so he can finish his story. The one thing with that, though, I like AJ Allen. However, AJ Allen pretty much left because he wanted a larger role. And I don't know if he would be okay coming back and being like within a committee and not being at the top of that committee either. So it's tough.
Do you enjoy living in Miami more or Tulsa?
I
hear the oceans are very nice in Tulsa.
Yeah. Howard Stern. I love this comment by Howard Stern because I knew I was forgetting a name here, and he mentioned it here. Gio, Max Buchanan, I heard, looks really good for O-line play. Can you see him getting a starting position this year? I absolutely can see that. And actually, he passed up a few guys that had been on the roster for some years now this season, actually. They really like him as like an interior guy. He's also one of the other guys I've heard that he's capable of playing some center, but, that's still up for debate. He hasn't played a lot of center in his career. He's been more so a guard, has played some tackle back in high school as well, but mainly a guard. They are really excited about him. I think if McCoy ends up shifting outside the tackle, I think Buchanan could be one of your other guards alongside Samson Okunlola. But we'll see how everything shakes out there. Ian Coleman. Gio, does Armando Blunt move outside to edge now that Jarquez Carter, Moten, and Scott are coming back? So he's still been at edge, actually. He plays both. He plays edge, and then he'll come in at defensive tackle as well. He's just one of those like swing defensive linemen that you could play at several different spots. Hayden Lowe is capable of doing that too. And another guy that is capable of doing that they have interest in bringing in is Keanu Davis from Nebraska. So you could potentially have three guys like that.
Can any of these guys play the linebacker position? Like a Jalen Phillips was playing linebacker in the NFL a little bit on the edge. Can any of these guys fill in over there?
At linebacker? The only one I could potentially see is the freshman, DeAnthony Lafayette, but I don't think they're going to go in that direction. They have three freshman linebackers coming in.
Okay, that's good.
And one of them they are very excited about. He wasn't here during the early portion of the playoff. He just arrived recently. Justin J.J. Edwards. The reviews that I was told on him, and this is coming from people at Miami, they think he's one of the better linebackers in the country.
Wow.
Entering into college football. We'll see if that materializes. Obviously, some coaches have very high expectations for these guys. I know Corey Heatherman's very meticulous when it comes to what he wants at the linebacker position. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of his guys that he's recruited, at least in the past year, are very much in the rotation early on. Coaches want their guys. That's a very true thing. So, yeah. Soulful Spirit, though, interesting question he brings up here. How is Mylan Paris looking? So you talk about 6'6" receiver Miami brought in that could run between 4.3 and 4.4. Physically, has a lot of the great traits that you would love to have in a receiver. I just heard that he's quite a bit raw, that he's going to need some refinement. So, again, we haven't even started spring yet. So we'll see.
So we've got coming back right now. We got Joshua Moore is definitely coming back, we believe. He's not going to.
There has been some teams trying to try there, but we'll see.
Who else is coming back?
I haven't heard anything over the last 24 hours that indicates that he is going to leave for sure, though.
Malachi comes back. Joshua Horton comes back. Who else is coming back?
Dalen Upshaw.
Upshaw is coming back. Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah, they'll have Upshaw back. They have 2 transfers already that I mentioned earlier, Vaughn and Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
You could have Barcate fairly soon as well. And then the other freshmen like Wingo, who's really stood out early on. You have Mylan Paris coming in. Vance Spafford, who I know some people really like around the program in terms of like he has ability to mostly slot, but he could definitely play on the outside too as a Z as well. He has plenty of speed too. So, yeah.
Now, when you mentioned Wingo, is he like a Malachi type, that kind of size, that kind of spurt?
No. Wingo's more like he's about 6'2", 6'3", 190, almost 200 range. But he's a true outside receiver.
All right, great. We can use those.
1 milligram of epinephrine. Pringle needs to improve pass blocking if he wants to. Very true. He does have to improve in that aspect. Is obviously very talented as like a skill position player, though.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Cashco, please let Dawson be gone. Ian Coleman, F with Dawson. He knows what his QB's limits are and calls plays accordingly. You could see late in the season Carson Arm was cooked. I have some theories on that too, especially some of the throws in the playoff that.
Yeah, I think his arm wore out a little bit, but I just thought he should have gone more to it went a little too much inside. But they had lots of the playbook changed after SMU, and obviously we still don't know if it was Mario holding back the playbook, which a lot of people believe. Obviously, it just changed. So I think Dawson did a good job. I mean, it's you always want to look at it and say, well, if we would have called this, we would have had a better play. I mean, nobody knows what's going to work, what's not going to work. Sometimes the play will work. The players just have to execute. So it's hard to say, but I don't think Dawson is as bad as a lot of people think.
Juan Manuel. Miami simply lost the game on special teams, 10 points of special teams and 2 penalties. Yeah, you're right. 1 milligram of epinephrine took Dawson way too long to add some variance in the run game. I agree. You know what's funny, epinephrine? I mentioned it during the game at halftime. I said, I would have to find the exact tweet here, but I mentioned it while watching the game there at Hard Rock, and I had said something. I said, I don't know if Miami's going to attempt to run the ball outside on the perimeter, but I think they should. I think they could find some success there. Literally right after the half, they do so, and lo and behold, long touchdown run by Fletcher. Mind you, Fletcher could have potentially had 2. He ended up getting tripped up on.
It looked like, Malachi, it looked like we could run outside all day long on them. They were clogging.
Yeah. Well, look, I do think Miami should have attacked the perimeter more. Just even aside from the outside runs, just you needed guys like Daniels and especially Marion. Marion didn't have his best game against them, but you needed those guys to win on the outside. Indiana had because this game's over with and season's over with, but they had issues covering out on the perimeter, and I think that's something Miami could have potentially attacked more. But it is what it is. No crying over spilled milk, and we're on to the next season.
Gio has spoken.
Epinephrine also did mention the last throw was the right read, just a horrible throw. Absolutely agree. It was the right. I know many people are saying, "Oh, but what?" The interception literally happened, I would say, Brett, about 6 or 7 feet away from me, maybe a little more, maybe like 8, 9 feet away from me. Keelan Marion was open. There's more air on that ball. Either it's an incomplete pass or we're all singing a different tune right now.
But what about the other guy? The safety was right there too, I thought, right in front of him.
No. Safety wouldn't have made it.
I thought there were 2 there. I thought if they scored there also, let's just say we score there. All right, it's a minute to go.
We still got to stop them. Yeah,
they to get a field. We hadn't stopped them when we did stop them. We had to a couple of times, but I I understand. He looked like when he threw that. When I saw it, I thought the guy was open. I did say he's open. A good pass that he drops in there, obviously between the two defenders, it's great. Maybe he gets tackled at the 10-yard line. Yeah, I mean, it's better to go ahead even with a minute left, than not go ahead. I just thought we were doing so well. Exactly what he did against Mississippi State. We had them on their heels right there. But no reason crying over spilled milk.
Hassan asked here, why isn't that idiot Pete Nako saying that Georgia and Alabama were tampering for Pringle? We all know they did. Alabama and Georgia always do. Funny thing you say that. Yes, Georgia tampered for Colby Young. Alabama, they did tamper for Isaiah Horton. There's been other situations in the past as well. There was teams trying to tamper with Jordan Lyle before this season, actually. Alabama was one of them, by the way. Just a little quick note there.
I think everybody tampers. I mean,
everyone's
we obviously went to Memphis and said, hey, we need a quarterback.
But here's the thing, though. What's the definition of tamper? And the reason why I'm going to say this is a lot of players in schools, they're just going through the agents. They're not going directly through the players. Now, however, if it is true what Dabo Swinney said today, he had a press conference and talking about a linebacker they had landed in the portal was a really talented linebacker, and Luke Farrelly. If it's true that Pete Golding and coaches from Ole Miss had reached out to him individually, over text message or any of the sort, that's bad. Mm-hmm. That is literally tampering, because there's one thing where you're going through a medium like a third party, and another thing that it's direct contact and you're not even actually in the portal. That's bad. So I know people are making fun of Dabo and the whole rant he went on today, but if it is true, Dabo actually has a point. Giovanni Foster, what's the chances of getting Cooper Barkate? Incredibly good, as long as everything goes smooth with Mensa, which is the expectation. Craig Medeiros.
It's a 2-for-1 right now, right?
Yeah. Craig Medeiros, who else might go in the portal from that? I had spoke about that earlier. What's the latest day for Miami players to go into the portal? So that would be tomorrow. And as I mentioned earlier, then you have what can be up to a 48-hour process, which can stretch into Monday.
So they could go in tomorrow, but we won't know about it till Monday.
Yeah, some you could potentially not know until Monday.
I'm playing. This is just Miami and Indiana, correct?
Yes.
And there's nobody we want from them.
No one else. Soulful Spirit, we're going to find out sooner than later. Okay, Vegas Kane. Miami has blown too many national championship games. 4-4. They should have won. This is the third toughest championship loss to swallow behind 2003 Fiesta and 1987 Fiesta. I think that 86 team is much worse than that loss, though. I mean, because you're talking about Alonzo Highsmith was running up and down the field on Penn State in that game, and it's 5 picks. I think it's worse than this one. Yes,
we dominated that game, and we were heavy favorites.
Evan Fried reposted the stream. Thank you for stopping by, Evan. Giovanni Foster, tight end play, got to step up this year. I agree. Any progress on tight end Owen Ruskovich and Jackson Carver? So I know Jackson Carver was recovering from an injury this year. Owen Ruskovich ended up becoming a scholarship player before the season. He had some moments during the offseason, but we never saw him, though. So I think that's the testament.
Carver's still with us?
Yes, he is, at least to this point. And he was recovering from injury this year. Okay. He had a torn ACL, from what I understand. And then on Ruskovich, had earned the scholarship during the offseason. He had some moments during the offseason, too, and then never really saw him. And I think that's just a testament to the talent that Luka Gilbert is, because both of those guys, they're like 6'7", 6'8", really big guys.
Luka Gilbert?
Yeah, Luka Gilbert could really move for a kid that's 6'8".
Awesome. We need that.
Vegas Kane 405. Evan Fried. Bring home Coach Pata for tight end. Yes, so Coach Pata is at FIU right now. He knows exactly what Mario and Alex Mirabal want up front in terms of like the blocking, like the whole philosophy that they do up front. I don't know how much tight ends Pata has coached in the past. I can't really confirm on that, but I do think it's an intriguing one with a lot of chemistry there. Vegas came. Dawson doesn't seem to call plays to the tight end often enough. Arroyo should have gotten more balls thrown his way, in my honest opinion. Slot receiver seems like the favorite receiver in Dawson's offense. Yes, that's very true. If you look at the sticking theme throughout Dawson's offenses in terms of the slot and having the amount of production they do. However, in terms of tight end, I think people kind of saw it with the play this year too from that group. Elijah Lofton had some bad moments, had some good moments. He was very up and down this year. I know he was dealing with an injury early on in the season, and then he got hurt again late in the playoff. Like I said, they have talent in the room, especially with guys they've added and guys returning. However, if they can't figure it out between that group, then there's a problem. Also, I don't think anyone would have been comfortable with the tight ends being used as much as Arroyo was the previous year with the group that they had this year. It wasn't there. Evan Fried, offensive line. Howard Stern. A Bella Danger to the portal. Oh, my God. Evan Fried. Here's his prediction. Matt McCoy, Sampson, Ryan Rodriguez, Jamal Merriweather, Cantwell. That's right. I like your prediction, but I'm going to go outside the box, and I'm going to say Max Buchanan is the other guard along with Samson Okunlola.
Okay.
Giovanni Foster. Booker Pickett should have a huge role next year. He'll be in the rotation. I don't know about a huge role, though. Juan Manuel. Gio, why not take Kinsler back if he's the best OL in the portal? He's one of the best available right now. He basically had left because he wanted a larger role. He's been at Miami for 3 years. He was backup for most of that. He was the backup to Francis, actually. He's garnering a lot of interest, too. Auburn, for example, Texas A&M. There's a couple of programs interested there, but I don't know.
Is he going to start at those places if he's not going to start with us?
He has talent. Look, I'll put it this way. I don't know for sure if he would. Well, not even I don't know for sure. I don't think he would start for Miami at tackle this year. Mm-hmm. I think if Kinsler were to find his way somehow onto a starting lineup at Miami, I think it would have to be on the interior based on what Miami has coming in and some of their plans going forward.
And he was the backup to Francis last year, right?
Yes.
Which means that we're deep. That means obviously that position has been taken by somebody else.
Yeah. Jeff Rogers said, hello, Brett.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for joining us.
Gilbert Reyes, win, lose, or tie, Hurricane for life. Absolutely. H. Canes. Indiana played a perfect game. Miami played a very, very good game, however, made 2 to 3 mistakes. Agreed. Howard Stern, 87. You are never, ever welcome back in Miami. Please don't ever come back, you marshmallow. You are banned for life. That's cruel. Canes, it was that close. Carlos Montia from X. Do you expect to receive any starter jackets soon, Brett?
Carlos, yes, those starter jackets. It was amazing walking around the stadium and seeing everybody wear starter jackets. I don't know if we'll have any soon. Could receive a few returns. We have got too many returns since the game, but we have the original one coming back next season. I don't know if we'll have any before then of the special edition ones that we carry. We're working on it.
Gilbert Reyes, I've talked so much smack for the last 6 weeks. These guys up here in New England beat me up with this loss. Jeff Rogers said, who is QB? Darian Mensah. It'll happen soon.
You think Darian Mensah's the guy?
Ian Coleman. Gio, where does Jarquez Carter fit? Does he replace Blay? He'll be in the rotation. I don't think he's going to be a starter, though, this year. And Ian Coleman said we recruited Carter out of high school. Yes, Miami did. They actually really wanted him a lot. Jose Gonzalez. Canes have improved every year under Cristobal. Do you expect this year to be any different? I think the improvement I would say to expect, the expectation should be win the ACC. Win the ACC this year. You win the ACC, everything else handles itself. You'll be in the postseason.
I mean, obviously, the only way to go further than we did this year is to win the national championship, which the Hurricanes have done very well. When they lost national champions, they came back and won. In '86, that game, the Fiesta Bowl, the '87 Fiesta Bowl, we came back and won in '87. 88, we lost the big game. Steve Walsh his only loss when Cleveland Gary didn't fumble against Notre Dame. We should have beat that. We came back and won in 89. 90, I forgot exactly what happened. We won on 91. So when we lose in championship games, we have good. The history has shown we come back.
Juan Manuel, hey, it's Miss Hudson and Big Bill up here in Chapel Hill. Big Bill asked, is 87 out of eligibility, right? Big Bill says hazing shouldn't be a thing of the past, should be a thing of the past. However, crabs in the pants would fix 87. Yes, he is out of eligibility. He does not have.
He's done. I didn't realize that. Okay.
He doesn't have any more eligibility. Giovanni Foster, are you ready for that Notre Dame game? Absolutely. Gilbert Reyes, are we keeping Dawson in? Okay, so we spoke about that. Spoke about CN. Let's see. There's some repeat questions here. Howard Stern said, in terms of that potential first game of the season, give us FSU. They're sorry and young. Very true.
Good point. FSU, but they did beat Alabama. They're sorry and young, but did beat Alabama this year.
Yeah, but Alabama
lost to them, lost 3 games by more than 10 points, last 3. And they went ahead. They're still number 9. Go figure.
Let's see. Rich Millennial, man, we've come a long way from the TVD roster. Was so happy to see the Canes
absolutely
meaningful games in January. We'll be back. I agree. I've been saying that. They will be back.
Too.
Mr. Hey, love the Duke game first. Yep. Duke and Florida State were the 2 mentioned. I forget the third team now.
Can you imagine if we have Mensa and the wide receiver, we're playing them, what the press is going to be saying?
Yeah. New King God shares here. Does Miami have the best DT room in the nation? I don't know if I want to say the entire room is the best. However, in terms of projected starters for next year, between Moten and Scott, and especially the way Scott played towards the end of the year, it's got to be a top 5 or 10 group minimum. New King God, what do you think about the Dabo? And spoke about that. Juan Manuel, so the SMU loss was great. It knocked down Notre Dame looking back from the playoffs. Jeffrey Wilson, when are the kids in NIL come at a crossroads with the portal? Some kids enter the portal aiming at getting a bigger check but have no school to go to. You're very right on that, Jeff.
Exactly.
There are kids still looking for their next destination.
I'd like to know those stats. I mean, someone's got to have them. How many kids did not get a job, and how many that did get a job got less money?
Yeah. No, there's some guys that they've played themselves. Hassan shared here. Gio and Brett, Kiffin has so much money to give out to players because he's too cheap to pay for 10-cent bags at grocery stores. Vegas Kane, doesn't LSU have over 40 portal transfers? Yes, they have a lot of transfers. The chemistry could be awful, but it's loaded with talent. Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to watch LSU this year.
Nothing better. I think the one thing besides rooting for Miami, we're going to be rooting, and most people are going to be rooting against not only Mississippi fans, but I think most fans around the country will be rooting for LSU to fail.
Mr. Jake asked about Max. I spoke about Max Buchanan already. 5 rings. I think Lane is going to crash and burn at LSU. It seems like a good fit. We'll see. People did call me crazy though, because so many people were so sure that Lane was going to go to UF, and I said, if that LSU job opens up, I said it on here, I've said it on the spaces. I said, if that LSU job opens up, he will go running to LSU before he goes to Florida.
But bigger than that, Gio.
The Florida boosters are freaking nuts, Brett. They're
Yeah.
crazy. They expect national championships within 2 or 3 years. They're insane.
But so does LSU for that matter.
Yeah, but they gave Brian Kelly more time.
But the funniest thing is, if you rewind it a little bit, after SMU, after Louisville, everybody's saying we should have taken Lane. After what's it called? Last year, everyone's saying I told you we should have taken Lane. The year I told you we should have taken Lane. I wonder if those people feel at all the same way, because Lane would have definitely left here in a heartbeat, obviously. Okay, to go to LSU. I know we're not Mississippi, but we're not LSU either, with their big alumni and everything they could do. So I don't think Lane stays here. And right now, Mario has shown that he's doing the job. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think Miami's totally fine with Mario, and at the end of the day, we'll see what happens with Lane at LSU. I said it that he would go there when people were talking about Florida, but I don't know if they're going to have much success the first year. I think it's very much a wild card. Like, is all that going to mesh together or not? All the transfer guys. Miami tried that the first year and it was a crash and burn.
Mississippi quarterback goes to the NFL this year, right?
Huh?
Mississippi's quarterback goes to the NFL this year?
He's trying to come back for another year.
Okay. Chambliss?
Yeah. So Carl MIA asked, Seton really chose LSU. How much did he get from them? I thought we were the highest bidder. I don't know where this is coming from, that of Miami being the highest bidder for Seton. All three teams were very competitive in terms of the offer. LSU has a lot of money to throw around, the same for Oregon, and even Miami too. All three teams were very competitive in it. So I don't know where that narrative came from about Miami being the highest bidder, though. Kyle's CGA. Do they like Minaya at offensive line? I haven't heard much on Minaya, actually, to be honest with you. He was not in the 2 deep this year, actually. Giovanni Foster, do you see us winning the ACC championship? If they get Mensa and Barkate, and they're almost done with the portal, there's 2 more potential additions for defense between DB and defensive line. Yeah, I think they should win the ACC. I said it earlier, actually. That should be the objective. You win the ACC, everything else handles itself. You very likely get a bye week if you win the ACC. You'll also you'll be in the playoff if you win the ACC. You're guaranteed in, actually. So, yes, the objective should be win the ACC outright this season. And by the way, you're going to have the quarterback and the receiver that did it this year, actually, Darian Mensa and Cooper Barkate. So, yeah.
Now we're going to get Mensa, but let's just say something went crazily wrong. There is our quarterbacks nickel and
let's not even talk about that.
I think we're going to get him, no doubt. I think no doubt we're going to get him.
No one at Miami from administration level on down is that has the thought process that Mensa doesn't end up here. Yeah, the bottom line is, Brett, too, is he's not an employee of the institution. None of these student athletes are employees. So you can't force a kid to say, no, you have to stay here or whatever. It's not going to.
The kid that stayed after he already committed.
That was Damon Williams at Washington. And basically one of the things that also happened there too, he signed a binding financial agreement for the upcoming season. A lot of schools have this, even though they have multi-year deals, they have something that comes up every year that players sign a binding financial agreement at the end of the year going into the next season. And he did that. And the other thing too is there was kind of some scare tactics there as well for him to return, which Duke tried to pull because they tried leaking that they were worried Mensa was going to leave. They weren't worried. They knew he was leaving. Kyle's CGA, did they let Kinsler walk? Didn't try to keep him. There was just indifference about it. 5 rings. Hope Lyle stays. I think he will have a great comeback year. The kid is great. I agree. There's some people that they've sold out on Lyle. If he comes back, he has talent. He showed it before. I think people forget. Ohio State, who wanted Fletcher, they also wanted Lyle too the year after. So, look, he was hurt this year. I think people forget he was having a really good offseason. He was running back 1 going into game 1. And
first
then
possessions, he was the back.
Yeah. Jeff Rogers, any chance on getting Allen back? I doubt it happens that AJ Allen would come back here. He wanted a bigger role. Let's see here. Junior Hayes from Facebook. Who is a linebacker that we'll be bringing in? With Wesley gone, we are super thin. So you have Ray coming back. Some guys that figured to be key pieces there that'll be competing. Cam Pruitt, who's gone back and forth between safety and linebacker. Kamal Bonner. Kellen Wiley is one that they're expecting and hoping takes another jump this offseason. They're really excited about him from an athleticism and size standpoint. I know specifically Coach Heatherman is about like the type of player he could become. Some other young guys to mention there, Justin J.J. Edwards, who's coming in from the recruiting class. I know Coach Heatherman's super high on him. So we'll see if that materializes.
We had that freshman start before. Warren Quarterman and Pickney, they were starting at freshman, weren't they?
Yeah, that was years ago. Shaq and Pinkney had started as true freshmen. Jeff Rogers said, good listening to you both. Thank you, Jeff, for stopping by. Yeah, okay. Howard Stern, JJ Edwards, a Orlando Edgewater kid. He's going to be good. Let me ask you something. Yeah, so let me ask you something, Jill. Do you remember Aaron Jones that left Miami at the altar for Florida State? I do remember that. Gio, how's Cole McConaughey coming along? Don't hear much of him anymore. Had a lot of promise coming in. Yeah, so he redshirted this year. He only played in a couple games. He was still recovering from an injury during the offseason. So we'll see.
He had the car accident? Was that him?
No.
Okay, that was someone different.
Lovo from X. Gio, obviously a lot of hindsight here. Wish we would have picked up some more yards on that final drive instead of going for the deep shot. I agree. You could have taken a little more time. You could have worked the sidelines, but it is what it is. Juan Manuel, what have you heard on Miami new wide receiver? Yeah, I spoke about the wide receiver room already. Junior Hayes, we need a playmaker at tight end like a Shockey or a Njoku build. I agree.
That would be nice.
We agree. New King God, exactly. Dawson does some reason refuse to run outside all season. Shake my head. He needs more variety in the run game. I've always said that if there's been one of my complaints about the offense, it's that. But yeah. CMB, guys, sometimes Dawson is stubborn about running off tackle. Yes. Junior Hayes, that pass had to be at the pylon. 48 seconds left. We still had time to not force the pass. I agree.
Yes, it was. I thought crazy to do that.
Yeah, there had to be more air on that ball. Howard Stern, why were we running the ball up the middle through Cooper, who is the laziest Oh, my God. Giovanni Foster, Gio, I would love to play at LSU in the playoffs. That would be nice. 5 rings. What's going on?
In the playoffs right now?
5 Rings said, what's going on with Damari Brown? The kid is always injured. I don't trust him. Do you think we need one more veteran DB? Miami could potentially add one more, as I mentioned earlier. That there's some level of interest in Conrad Hussey. I'm not sure yet if it is or not going to happen. But in terms of Damari Brown, he actually had a really good year this year. If you look at the metrics for a defensive back and what he did this season, because defensive back statistics can be very misleading. There's guys that could grab some interceptions. People say, oh, they're pretty good, but they really can't cover. They just happen to be in the right place at the right time. It's about the consistency and how many catches you're giving up and yardage and everything. Damari Brown had a really good year when he did play. Played the entire season until he had an injury leading up into the playoffs. So I still think he's really talented. I wouldn't want him to leave from Miami at all. But, again, we're in this day and age now of the transfer portal. You never really know. Gio Kane, they got the interception with like 54 seconds left. If we score, they could have gotten him. So that's why I didn't like Becca and Greedy at the point. Just keep it. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Hey, CJ to the NFL. Yes, CJ Daniels did not have any more eligibility. Kyle CGA, would we take another offensive lineman? Not that I've heard to this point. Juan Manuel, yes, it's true. Everybody tampers. I tamper with my neighbors' mangoes all the time. Howard Stern, I'm still crying. Why did Dawson call that play? Indiana, guys, we can continue going on about it, but it is what it is.
None of us, Howard Stern, none of us understand why he made that play, why he called that play. Why?
Hey, wish we would take Riley Williams back. Riley Williams was a good blocker. It just was never really that receiving option that people around the program were hoping he would have became. He ended up getting homesick. He went back to Oregon State, and now he left Oregon State. Howard Stern, Gio, serious question. Why did Miami tell Michael, what was it because of all the media and Saturday Night Live show that was done after him? A lot of players told me that they killed their vibe. He was being handicapped. Yeah, previous coaches didn't want guys like that around the program. Mario's had much more of an open door policy for former players to drop by or be at the games.
Absolutely.
Gio Kane, are we going to get a linebacker? All right, I already answered these questions. Juan Manuel, national championships are so special because they are so hard to win. You may be the most talented and best team, but luck and timing have decided more national championship than teams winning it. I agree with that. Sometimes you do have to have a little bit of luck on your side.
Of course. And it's tougher now than ever because it's multiple games. I mean, we won 13 games, but we lost 3 games. I mean, the old days, if we were, it's during the Orange Bowl, you're considered one of the top teams against Nebraska in that first. We were number 5 or 6, and we jumped everybody to get to number 1.
Yep.
So
sometimes
you have to win 4 games.
Kyle CGA, I like this question from him. Heard good things on defensive tackle Kashawn Stansel, the true freshman coming in. Yes. Haven't heard anything on him yet since his arrival the other week. However, his tape is one of the best for a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
In terms of like a senior year in high school, super impressive. If his body is right, I could see him being part of that rotation this year. Gio Kane said, if somehow we don't get Mensa, are we looking at other QBs in the portal? No, that's not the mindset right now. Howard Stern shared, Gio, why did you tell wait, hold on. No, I already answered that. New King God, what are some ways this year's team you think Will can improve from? I think Miami needs to improve from the aspect of throwing downfield passes. I think there was so many missed opportunities this year. I think they need legitimate deep threats. Malachi Tony can obviously do that, but you need more than that. You need guys to help. So Cooper Barkate's a nice start. Vandrevius Jacobs is a true downfield receiver. I think Joshua Moore can give you that too. And even other guys on the roster as well. I think just Miami needs to get more explosive in the passing game. And one other thing I could say in terms of improving, I think the linebacker play could improve. I think if there was one spot on the defense that had room for improvement this season, even though they played better towards the end of the year, I still think linebacker could improve with Miami's defense. New King God last and what did it say back? Okay. Eddie said, can a grad transfer in this? Yeah, grad transfers roll on different type of rules. It's different with grad transfers. Fresh 3542, we don't have a left tackle. Howard Stern, Wiley's got a lot of hype from last year's linebacker class. What's his deal? Are you ready? Like I mentioned earlier, they're optimistic and about what he could be. And this year was sort of a learning year for him. He played a lot of special teams and everything. I think people forget this in some of these recruiting classes. We've seen this year over year. There's guys that maybe they don't make the biggest impact as a true freshman, but the very next year they take a big jump.
There's so many guys in Miami history and other teams too. Is you never heard about them the year before, and all of a sudden they're dominating on the team.
Look at Marquise Lightfoot and Armando Blunt this year. They didn't play a whole lot last year as freshmen. They did this past season, and they stepped up to the plate. And very likely they're going to be even better next year.
The offensive linemen are going to be. It's just the guys we lost. Luckily, they were mostly not injured, so we didn't see a lot of these guys.
I don't even want to read this comment, but oh my God. Wow. Howard Stern, you are quite the character.
Exactly. He's taking over for one manual on that one.
All right. Mr. Hey, why is CJ Daniels entering the draft? Who's got he doesn't have any more eligibility. Michigan Kane, I just bought some shit from Kane.
All right, Michigan Kane, we appreciate it.
That's quite a product to buy from the store.
Thank you so much for your support, Michigan Kane.
Eddie, can a grad transfer come in the summer? Xavier Lucas kind of proved this even last year too. The transfer portal is just really a formality at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's true.
Jeffrey Wilson, which player, portal or freshman, looks to have a potential bigger role that people are going to expect? I think guys that you could see having a bigger role next year, like in terms of younger players or guys that are coming in, like I'd say like a Joshua Moore, Gerard Pringle. Obviously, the fact that they had him come back, they're not going to have him come back and just shelf him. I think Luka Gilbert is one that especially comes to mind. Max Buchanan is one that I'm keeping an eye on. And then defensively, Hayden Lowe, most definitely. He's going to be – I think he's going to be a big-time player for Miami next year.
Mohamed Toure, has he played well for us, but did he play as well as he played in his previous stop? Before he was in
throughout the season, no, but it seemed like he started picking up steam, especially as Miami got in the postseason. I think people overlooked this, the fact that he had a significant injury the year before he came to Miami. Like those ACLs, they can be a little tricky. Some guys, it's not that first year they're back, it's the year after.
So he could be taking up another gear for us and be a star.
Yeah. Howard Stern said, Lane Kiffin is better when he's getting out of rehab. Gio Kane, so glad we didn't get Lane. Mario's a Miami Hurricane for life. This is his dream job. Don't have to worry about Mario leaving unless this school gets rid of him. Yeah, I think the only way you see Mario Cristobal ever not at Miami is, one, he's 6 feet under when he's old and gray many years from now. Two, if the game somehow happens to pass him by and it just doesn't work out anymore.
Good point.
And there's no three. Mario's here for the long haul. And I know rumors came out because Brian Baldinger had put out something on the radio the other day saying that, that the Steelers are interested in Cristobal. Yeah, even if the Steelers were interested in Mario Cristobal has no desire to coach in the NFL. So that's a nothing burger at the end of the day. Apollo Sayer, 1619. Lane loved living in South Florida. He loves boating. Yes, he did. He really enjoyed living here. MB, I hated losing Emory Williams. That young man was loyal, and I truly hope he does great things at his next stop. He's a really good kid. He's a very good kid.
That Florida State, he beat Clemson, and that Florida State game, he gave his heart. I mean, we could have possibly pulled that game off.
Yeah.
Tyler Van Dyke came into that game and threw the interception, right?
Yeah. It was very fitting. Howard Stern. Hopefully the high school coaches in the African-American community likes Mario now. He did everything he could. Let's just say good thing Teddy is not at Northwestern no more. 5 rings. Do the Canes have enough depth on the defensive line this season? Is at least 30 to 16 games if you want to win? Yes, they do. They have the depth, and they're going to potentially add another. They'll be fine on defensive line. Will Ivory. So are we keeping all 4 backs, 2, 4, 6, and 22? We'll see. None have officially.
I don't think so, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. You never know, but I know Marty's leaning towards coming back. I know Lyle was deliberating whether to go or stay. There's teams that have tried to.
The only reason they can do that is if Oprah comes in maybe and coaches them, you get a handoff, you get a handoff, you get a handoff, and you get a handoff.
Everyone get a handoff.
Exactly.
Let me see something.
Rotate them. Just every set. They just keep going one after another.
So Howard Stern, serious question. Miami made the national championship. They were driving with it. Let's not fuck it up like Coker. Got to take advantage of this in high school recruiting and everything. I absolutely agree with you. And you know what? This is not a hot take. This is my prediction. Miami will land their best recruiting class for 2027. I like how Miami is lined up for it. I like the groundwork that they have laid down for this upcoming recruiting class. I think people are really going to like this next recruiting class. I think it has the capability to be a top 5 class. MB, Lightfoot is going to be a legend as a pass rusher. Yeah, I think Lightfoot's going to take a really.
I think Lightfoot's going to be a legend. The kid just came from Missouri. They say could be a first-round pick. I mean, we had obviously the most awesome line we've ever had on the defensive ends. I mean, do we believe? This line could compare to that. obviously most people aren't going to think, couldn't they be better because we're going to be deeper in defensive tackle?
I think this line is going to be deeper.
Mm-hmm.
I just think replacing the type of guy that Ruben Bain is extremely difficult. Like Akeem Mesidor was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this earlier that in terms of like production as a pass rusher, Damon Wilson is very comparative to Mesidor and what he did this year. I actually think he's a little bit better as a pass rusher than Mesidor was. I just think Mesidor was better against the run than Damon Wilson, but this is where you have guys like Hayden Lowe and Armando Blunt who come into the picture as guys being able to set that edge as run defenders as well. I think the group is deeper though. It's very difficult to see someone replacing like what Bain did though. Like, can you get some similar results? Maybe, but the amount of production he had, like Brett, like his numbers are insane. Like the amount of pressure he had and everything, it's just incredible.
But Gio, we're comparing him to this year. Last year with his injuries, even when he came back, he was not the same player. This year, he just took an unworldly turn for the better. Now, his freshman year, he was solid as well, but he still wasn't here. He's turned into a man now. I mean, he's huge.
Yeah.
You're right. So, you know, you never know. We got his best year. We got Mesidor's best year this year, both of them. So they both were the dynamic.
I'm really looking forward to Marquise Lightfoot's development because there's some things I saw in the playoff that I was really impressed by. Like, even though he was just still rotation behind Bain and Mesidor, there was some things that showed up on the tape. Like, even to the point, this guy was chipping Jeremiah Smith off the line of scrimmage in that Ohio State game. Like, this guy's really talented.
Now, how much credit do we give Jason Taylor for all these great defensive ends?
A lot of credit. And Damian Lewis should get so much credit for the way that Ahmad Moten and Justin Scott continue to improve throughout the year. Like, Miami's in a great spot with their defensive line.
I think our defensive line is going to be unstoppable this year, just like it was last year. And who knows? There were times we didn't get to the quarterback last year for whatever reason. Maybe we will this year.
Yep. We're bringing in GPA, guys. Andrew Rules just joined. Who do we get today in the portal? They got Jamal Merriweather today, offensive lineman from Georgia. 6'7", 305, has played over 13 games for the Bulldogs, can play guard and tackle. MB said, we got a good pass rusher from Missouri today. That was yesterday, actually, but yeah. Well, he officially signed today. Hassan, Gio, Steve Wilfong was talking Miami, and he was saying the 2027 class could be the best. I just said it, yeah. With Matthews, Lanier, and Amir Sears, yes, there's potentially a chance that guys like Amir Sears and Bryson Wright could possibly reclass to 2027, both 5 stars in 2028. They believe he will reclassify, and Miami has a great shot for other top players. They absolutely do. I think a guy that people need to keep an eye on is Zyron Forstall from IMG Academy. He's a 5-star pass rusher. I know the family really enjoyed his visit when he came down this season, and Miami's not out of it at all with DJ Jacobs. There's still been a lot of communication between him and Miami, despite the shocking commitment to Ohio State. Let's see here. Johnny Jackson, the Emperor. Will Miami get Kennedy Brown out of Houston, Texas? Not sure who that is. Are we in the market for another DT, the kid from Nebraska? Yes, Willie. Yes, I had to answer that. Keanu Davis. As long as everything clears medically there. Howard Stern, Elvis Dumerville, and Antonio Bryant, who was originally from Coral Gables to recruit cover effed up on. There's a couple more. Can't do that. I agree with you. Those were some really back recruitments back then. Let's see. Howard Stern said, Gio, do you think we got the curse of the sharp? So ironic he intercepts the football, and his uncle was the one who got called for the pass interference. You know about that, Britt?
No, I didn't realize that.
So the story goes that Glenn Sharp, when he was a true freshman at Miami, that national championship game, Fiesta Bowl, he was the one they called the pass interference on. So his nephew was Jamari Sharp, who picked off the last pass.
Oh, really? I did.
Monday. Yeah.
I did not know. I heard something and I thought, but yeah, I didn't know it was the exact combination there. That's scary.
Crazy how things come full circle.
That does come full circle. That the Sharp family didn't, obviously, it wasn't Glenn Sharp's fault for that because he didn't have an interference, but guy did make a good play. Sharp did make a good play on that ball. I mean, he went up high to grab it, I thought, on Beck's throw.
CanesWear offensive special teams lost. Yeah, we spoke about the game. The better team doesn't always win the championship. Yeah, I think Miami was more talented. You could see that.
All these people that said, you know what, but Indiana was the better team. Where was Indiana the better team? I did not see Indiana being the better team. They made the fourth down plays.
Execution, yeah.
Execution, maybe, in certain things. They made the fourth down plays when they had to. But still, we kept coming back and coming back and coming back. We just made more mistakes.
One man
championship games, mistakes.
Juan Manuel shared here. Gio and Brett, hope you guys don't go away. The show should go on. There's so much about the 2025 season, portal edition, and nutrition. Don't worry, show's not going anywhere. There will actually be more pretty soon too. Just stay tuned. Howard Stern, the experience the players got throughout these playoffs, even the extra practices for the young guys, will make a substantial difference in the long run. Absolutely.
I thought that was great. Seeing Cantwell, all those guys go in there with it. That is such a great experience. For years, we couldn't even get experience of a bowl game. Now,
the biggest thing of that too, Brett, they get to see what the culture is like when these like big time players are still here. Like they get to see it up front and close.
It's not just one bowl game, even if you're playing for the championship. They got to go to Texas, they got to go to Texas A&M, some of these guys. They got to go to, the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State, the Fiesta against – this was just an ultimate experience for these guys.
Yeah. Lovo says, it looks like we're retaining all our staff, correct? The tight end coach left, which may be a win as our tight ends have been nowhere near the caliber we usually put on the field. Absolutely. But have not heard of other staff potentially departing. I haven't heard anything else on anyone. I know there's been rumors about Dawson, but nothing that I haven't heard anything about that from someone that would have it on concrete evidence.
Well, you mentioned before, Gio, about the GA possibly doing a lot with the special teams. It's always been three parts of the game. The offense, who has its own coordinator and has everything else, has a coach for each position. The defense, who has its own coordinator and a position coach. And then the special teams, which is 30% of the game, they say. So why don't you get a great coach to coach the special teams? Why are we just leaving it to just, whoever wants the special teams? Let's get somebody great. You see that in the NFL too. A great special team coach produces results.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much on coaching, though, the special teams miscues. I think it's just execution.
But if a coach is telling them, and you remember the Virginia Tech coach, Frank, what was his name? Frank used to block punts all the time. We used to block punts all the time. I mean, but you don't see that anymore. It's like we're not doing the things that we used to do or other teams are successful do. So I think a great coach, like a rebounder, Dennis Rodman, a great rebounder. It wasn't the tallest guy, but you want to rebound, you're going to get it. You teach these guys, hey, this is the way we're going to go block kicks. This is the way we're going to go ahead and down the ball. This is the way we're going to return. I just think they should spend more time. Maybe they do. I just think it's a forgotten position and not enough people pay attention to it.
I agree with you on the aspect of trying to block punts. Yeah, I do think that's an element that's missing. I agree.
Block punts, block field goals, returns. It's like, nobody can control missed field goals. They're going to happen. I mean, hit the pole or something like that. It's just, you can't control that. That's not a coach. A coach can't coach a guy to make the field goal, but he can on the punts. It's catching the ball inside the 5-yard line. It's downing the ball. It's maybe kicking for the corner. I mean, they do things differently now. It's like, okay, we see this guy running to the right. Let's make sure that we're down back here. Let's make sure we know where our punter goes. He takes an extra step. Make sure we block him off. Let's seal him off. So I just think someone that specializes, obviously better than we have, I think would be better. Nothing against the guy we have. I have no idea who it is.
Ralph shares here. Is Judd Anderson going to stay, you think? Yeah, from what I understand, he is expected to stay. Juan Manuel shared, what do you think of Shari Charles and Booker Pickett as pass rushers? I know they're super excited about Ashari Charles. He had like a really good senior year with Venice, same high school that Damon Wilson came from, actually. And he had a tremendous week at the Navy All-American Bowl as well. So I believe, yeah, he already arrived on campus, actually. He's already here. So we'll see how it goes in spring. Fresh 35-42. Eno Etta, Michigan defensive tackle in the portal. Yes, Miami actually recruited him out of high school. He was like very close with Akeem Pong, a former defensive lineman Miami had that was like a project type. Collins, Akeem Pong. They were both very close. Will Ivory shares, please reserve a starter jacket in 3XL.
We may have a 3XL and starter jacket. Ivory, send me an email if you can, or any of the social medias, just to hit me up on Twitter or anywhere else, or X, I should say. Or so just remind me, and I will look for that tomorrow.
Let's see. Howard Stern said, Brett, I was at the store on Saturday, but you were just too busy, man. But I bought some jackets, bought some shirts.
Awesome, Howard. I appreciate that. I think I was at the register a lot on and running all over the place on Saturday. But yes, anybody watch the show. I love when people come by and say, hey, I'm from the show. I mean, I may know you guys, and I just don't know your name on your screen name. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Howard Stern shares here, Jeremiah Smith to the Dolphins after that coach they hired. They're definitely getting a top 3 pick. Howard Stern's not a fan of the new Dolphins.
He's not a fan of Hanley. I don't know why. It's Halfley, whatever it is. But he did say they're drafting a quarterback every year.
Juan Manuel, Paris and Wingo could be that downfield threat. I don't see why that role to go to deep would be so hard. Which guys would have roles or specialists in a certain area? We need that. Well, that's why they brought in a guy like Vandrevius Jacobs, and Joshua Moore is capable of doing some of that. Wingo as well. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. There's a whole spring to go
we
through.
We did part of Josh Moore a couple of times against the USF. It was a nice deep pass. They just never went back to it.
Yeah.
That's
Shaboy Kane said, I think we had deep threats, but I truly believe that Beck wasn't capable of hitting. Yeah, there was some issues with that too. There's a lot of miscues on deep passes this year. Here's the problem with this being more explosive. Cam Ward would have had us a top 10 offense. Yeah, we always speak about the what if. What if Cam Ward had this year's defense? Maybe Miami gets it all together where the offense's defense is like that elite group.
Correct.
You have another question here. Brett, please reserve a starter jacket in 3XL. How can I get a notification?
That's why just go ahead and you can message me on X. You can message on Instagram. You can send me an email at sales@caneswear.com. And I will go ahead and confirm with Jeff tomorrow if we have one available.
Let's see. Fresh said portal ends this Sunday for us. No. Portal closes, I think, for people entering from Miami and Indiana tomorrow night. 48-hour processing time, up to 48 hours to see names popping up in the database could be up to that time. So absolute last day, any names you'll possibly see will be Monday. Deuce shared here, if you had to guess the starting O-line, who would you say left to right? This is just my early prediction. I'll probably maybe have something different when spring ball comes around and what I see up front. But I'm going to go McCoy, Sampson, Rodriguez, Buchanan, Cantwell. I'm going to go with that. But don't hold me to that. Spring will come around. Yeah. 5 rings. Mario's growing as a coach. I think Alabama will come after him after next year because Saban seems to love Mario. Yeah, but Mario's not going to leave Miami.
He's not going to go there. He says he wants to go to he needs to win a championship before he goes to his grave.
Howard Stern. How about
championships? Then it's a different story.
Howard Stern shared here. How about Brian London and Manny Navarro to play left tackle? That's not nice, Howard Stern. Juan Manuel. So after Tuesday, we don't have to worry about guys leaving to the portal for playing time. Correct. They would have to wait till winter portal. Yes, the following year. I mean, unless they do Xavier Lucas. I'm sure you're going to see some kids pulling Xavier Lucas's. after spring ball is done around the country.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see some of that happening.
There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, there's going to be some guys that are not happy with their situation for XYZ reason, and they're going to try to pull it anyways. Lenoris Murray, you got to be a fool if you think Coach Mario is going to leave. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Lenoris.
100%.
We back. God bless Mario from X. Lightfoot's going to play some linebacker or stay at edge. He'll stay at edge. And how spoke about that. Howard Stern. For those that say South Florida recruiting is down, Fernando Mendoza won the championship in the Heisman. Miami's best player is a freshman from South Florida. Bain and Pounds from South Florida. Absolutely.
That's a great point.
I just don't think it comes in droves as much as before. I think there used to be more guys year to year that were like surefire, like superstars, but there's still the talent is still there. Juan Manuel, what if Butch Davis never left? How different would it's always a big what if. ABL3 reposted the stream. Thank you.
ABL3.
Lovo, Lightfoot's going to be good. He's a crash out. I remember him trying to fight Simeon Barrow in the bowl game. Yes, I think we all remember that. DeMonta Carter asked Gio, do you think JoJo's coming back or he's gone? I think he's gone. I think he saw that there's some of the writing on the wall, especially with Miami going after the receiver from Duke and everything, and he would fit into where JoJo plays in the offense right now. Yeah.
They gave him an opportunity, I think, even after he got some playing time and just didn't more hope he has a great career somewhere, wherever he goes. I mean, I hope that for every Miami player, as long as they're not playing us.
Johnny Jackson said, time to dominate recruiting in all of Florida. Miami will do so.
The Emperor.
You know what's funny, Brett? A lot of people have brought this up. They're like, oh, but recruiting from South Florida or whatever. There's years where there's better players in South Florida compared to other years. Mm-hmm. But Mario recruits the entire state. It's not just South Florida. Yeah. He goes up into Tampa, Orlando. Mm-hmm. He even goes up into the Panhandle, too.
Mm-hmm. So he grabs from everywhere.
Howard's. Oh, I like this comment. Apollo Sayer said, Bain was Jefferson from that movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High School. Howard Stern. Ahmad Moten has a good season next year, top 10. Yeah, I think he could definitely be a first rounder if he doubles it back up again this season.
And a lot of people thought he would go in the draft this year, so we're quite happy that he came back.
Amir Sears is really good. Nick Lanier is the best route runner I've seen in South Florida, I would say, in over 20 years. He reminds me of Calvin Ridley. I like that comparison for Nick Lanier. I think that Calvin Ridley comparison is pretty good. Juan Manuel said, Lightfoot is a 3-4 linebacker. He reminds me of Peter Boulware of FSU back in 1997. I don't see Lightfoot getting to 245. Well, he blew up that running back trying to block him and still pressured Mendoza. Yes, there's some things he did during the playoff that was really eye-opening. AYS Sports Blake is now talking acting big now that they have recruited Cian. He was all over Miami playoff run. He's an LSU fan now.
That's right. They were saying.
Let's see. Okay. Let's see, Mr. Hay. Watch for the name Zion Vilma out of Palm Beach. Mr. Vilma's cousin, over 60 offers. Yes, Miami's one of. Yes, Miami has been on him early. Deuce shared here. I got this gut feeling Gavin Mueller is going to make a huge impact at tight end. He's gotten quite a few early rave reviews, so we'll see. A dark rose on the edge. The kid from Lake Nona. You talking about the Anthony Lafayette? I believe it's called. He has a crazy wingspan. He absolutely does. He's like 6'1", but has like a wingspan of like 6'9". It's insane. Fresh said, we're getting Indiana's special team coach.
That's what I want to see. I'll do that I want to see badly.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would complain about that. Mind you, I had some Miami fans get mad at me after that blocked kick because I said something that Indiana was one of like the 3 best teams in terms of like blocking kicks and punts throughout the season. And they're like, oh, we don't care about that or whatever. We just want to win or whatever. I was like, I'm just saying, like,
oh yeah,
I'm not surprised that something like that happened. They've been very good at it.
They make a commitment to that. They look for opportunities when a lot of teams won't. They won't realize, let's go by this guy. He's not going to block us. They may have noticed before in another play that it didn't block them. So that's possibly why they did it.
So Apollo shared here, I want one of those Ed Reed caps.
Which one did he have?
He's talking to, all right, so this is like a new thing now. There's like these like oversized hats, Brett.
Oh, yes. We
Yes.
can carry them. They take up a lot of space, but they take a lot. And I always thought the people that be behind you are going to be really pissed off that they can't see over you. But yeah, so those hats are kind of neat. We've thought about bringing some in. Maybe we'll do that this year. By the way, Ed Reed was wearing the CanesWear starter jacket with the black starter jacket with the Sebastian on the back.
Johnny Jackson, the Emperor. Miami's defense will look like the 85 Bears. Oh, that's a bold prediction. Chad Powers to the portal. Must get. Mr. Hey, Zion Vilma, West. So
wow.
6'2", 435, 40, 439 GPA.
He's coming here in 27. Sweet.
Yeah, Miami's been on him early. Juan Manuel. Brett is right. Special teams, for some reason, is neglected. Frank Beamer made Virginia Tech mastering special teams was part of his defense. Teams feared Virginia Tech special teams.
Thank you, Juan Manuel. It's definitely
winning all three phases of the game.
I was going to call him Frank Layton, who I think was the coach of what basketball team. But yeah, I just think you have to. I mean, it's such an important part of the game. Special teams. It doesn't make any sense not to be able to. Lanes, everything. Block punts are such a good turnaround. Fake punts.
So Juan Manuel asked, Brett, do you have backup jacket? I think he's trying to say starter jacket. He's calling it backup jacket, though. And 2XL. Thank you.
I don't know if we have any 2XLs. Amazingly, I was so nervous. We got the 5 champs one, and it had the champs down the sleeves, and it said 5-time champs. And I said to Jeff, we had to get 500 of these in right before the game, but everybody bought them, even though it was 5-time champs because it was cold, and I saw everybody at the stadium with them, and now they're good again. They're 5-time champs. But yes, I don't know if we have it. I don't know if we have the backup jacket yet in 2XL. I'll check inventory tomorrow, so the next show I'll know. I'll put some of them in my office.
Deuce asked here, if everything works out with Mensa, will he have to enroll in some? No, there will be an exception made. Don't worry. Fight on Natties, as USC fan, he's back again. I like to think Becky, I think he's talking about Carson Beck. I knew he wouldn't let me down. He came through with that critical interception like I knew he would. Well, guess what, Mr. Fight On? USC hasn't even sniffed a playoff in a long time, not even playing in a national championship game. So you know what? You're more irrelevant than Miami now. Congratulations.
Correct. Was the last one they won way back when with Reggie Bush?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So it's speaking of that game, speaking of the Miami Texas game, I really thought that we were going to score like Texas came down on USC that game, and just didn't happen.
Howard Stern said, "What is up with Luther Campbell? The man needs to stop hating, even in South Florida. They're tired of him. He sucks as a coach." I'm not going to say Ray sucks. Ray was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Philip Dorsett stood up against him today and ripped and ripped him a little bit. Like former players, rarely do former players make comments. And Philip's family would come into the warehouse all the time. His family, amazing people. So it was interesting. Philip's a quiet person, and just to see him go out Luke like that, which is good because you know what? It's like 1 minute, you're ripping the coach if your guy's not playing. And Luke's talking about, I built 28 acres or so, which he's done a lot for the community, which is great. But that doesn't give you the right to just go on and off about it, but just continue to rip the team for no reason.
Yeah, well, and even the other thing on that too, like in terms of the whole Ray thing, I think it was just bad timing, honestly. Like, who could have ever predicted that he would have been sandwiched between 2 all-time players? You're talking about Xavier Restrepo, and then it's like your time, and then a special talent like Malachi Tony. Like Malachi Tony's career trajectory, he's going to hold every single record at Miami, barring any injury or anything. He's going to hold every record at Miami.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. That's tough being sandwiched between those two guys. I think Ray is going to find success at his next stop, honestly.
You're right. Timing is everything. It's like sometimes you go to a place, you could be great, but there's somebody else that's a little bit better than you, more dynamic, and it just happens. It's a you could have two of the greatest players playing back in the same lineup, and you may not see that again for 20, 30 years.
Yep. Howard Stern, Mendoza is going to have Haitian nightmares of Ruben Bain for life. Deuce asks, what are they saying early on about Gavin Mueller? Big and can run, athletic. So we'll see.
That's good.
The biggest thing for freshman Titler or just Titans in general is the blocking that comes into play. You got to see how he blocks. Howard Stern, Gio, what do you think of Davin Davidson? That's the recent offer, QB offer for Miami from Cardinal Mooney. He beat up on Chaminade Madonna in the state championship game. Miami just offered him huge kid, 6'6". If he beat up on Chaminade, I like him. Yes, very talented. He threw for Dawson just the other day. They offered him. Miami still hasn't. They don't have their quarterback yet for the 2027 class, so we'll see. He's definitely in consideration right now. They're going to do their due diligence and their homework on all these kids. Let's see, Johnny Jackson. I think Miami will make facility and coaching upgrades of the playoff money. Yeah, in terms of facility, yeah, that will come at some point. But the reality is, at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest. The arms race in college football now is not facilities anymore. These kids don't give a damn about the facilities now. All they care about is just getting paid.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Juan Manuel asked here, I'm hoping Nick Lanier reclassifies. Is there a chance he does? Likely not to happen. I know he had started some of that early process of it, but I was told from people even close to him that it was more likely he'd stick in 27. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the right decision. Marco Rocks, wondering why we haven't heard anyone questioning Dawson's play scripting to start games and coming off of it if the team is dragging. Why not run more hurry-up offense, put the defense on its heels? I agree with that last part about the hurry-up offense. I think if Miami played a little tempo on Indiana, they could have had them on their heels since Indiana doesn't rotate a lot on defense. But that, again, is what it is.
The first half, we mailed it in. We had a game plan, and we just stuck with it. We didn't change anything. Even our pass plays, everything seemed throwing into traffic, handing the ball up the middle. It basically was the old Miami offense earlier in the year. There was nothing different about that offense than the offense that played the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah. Martin Dubé, good morning, gentlemen. You guys are up late in America. Thank you for stopping by, Martin. He's all the way across the globe. The Canes look like they'll be stronger on defense. Gio, your thoughts on the O-line for 2026? So I mentioned my early projection of left to right of McCoy, Sampson, Rodriguez, Buchanan, Cantwell. However, my thoughts on it, I think they're going to be fine. Do I think they're going to be as good as the group from this year out the gate? No. There'll be some growing pains. And what I mean by growing pains is I don't think they're going to be like, how would I say, as good as the group as this year out the gate, like I said. But I'm not concerned with it. It's Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal. They know how to identify offensive linemen. They know how to develop it. And before people say, oh, they're not developing, whatever, they helped develop Francis. They helped develop Markel Bell. Markel Bell did not look anything like this over a year ago. It's complete turnaround. Mm-hmm. And they developed Inez Cooper, too. Inez Cooper was like a 2-star guy he was like 6'5", 400-something pounds. They got him in shape and everything. You got to give him credit. You have to give him credit. And, yeah, and they developed Sampson, too. Look at how Sampson Okunlola played this year. And a lot of people were writing him off
totally
before this season. So
I think Bell improved dramatically during the year, I thought. His first couple of games, people said, well, he's not playing the way he should. Just the coaching is unbelievable. And the question is, would Bell even got better? Could he have gone first round if he would have stayed another year?
Howard Stern said, ban DJ Khaled from the sidelines. He has bad luck. Yeah, the 2 games that they publicly posted that he was on the sideline, Miami had lost in very close matchups.
You're talking about that, yes.
Yeah. I still think it's funny, though, when he went through the warm-up line before the Louisville game. That was kind of funny. 5 rings. I am sick and tired of it because it's 52. We'll never grow up. I'm not going to comment on the Luke stuff. Hassan, you should be embarrassed coming out here talking about with your dumpster fire program. So take your 2 fingers. Oh, I like it. I like it. 1 milligram of epinephrine facilities. This ain't 2018 anymore. Agreed, epinephrine. Kids don't care about the facilities anymore. They don't.
Plus, the facilities now where the Canes are 10 times better than they were when we won championships. The weight room, everything.
I love this comment from Martin Dubé. George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton were all great boxers, but they lived at the same time as Muhammad Ali. Timing is everything. Absolutely agreed. I think just because Ray was sandwiched between 2 all-time players does not mean that he's a bad player himself. It's just the circumstance.
Martin, you know your boxing. What about Ernie Shavers, Ron Lyle, and Jimmy Young? There's 3 others that lived at that time too. But that is a great point. There was a lot of great boxers at one time when boxing was in its heyday. I was a big fan in those days.
Let's see. 1 milligram of epinephrine. I remember Dawson saying he doesn't even script any drives. Deuce with a great question. Last question. If you had to pick one incoming freshman on offense and then on defense to make an immediate impact, just a guess, who would you say? So Deuce thinks Gavin Mueller and J.J. Dunnigan, the safety. I'm going to go with – man, this is tough. Well, actually, no, it's not tough. I think the obvious answer is the Jackson Cantwell, but I'll go outside the box aside from Cantwell. I'm like on the fence between Samarian Wingo and Gavin Mueller based on the early feedback that I've gotten. And then defensively, I would say I think I'm going to go outside the box. Don't hold me to this. I'll come back with it during spring and kind of the early feedback I get there and from what I see. But I'm going to go with Justin J.J. Edwards. Just certain things I heard about him and the way Miami feels about him, especially Coach Heatherman. I think it says a lot.
He's the linebacker, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they haven't pressed too much to even bring in a linebacker from the portal, I think a lot. Tells me what they think.
Mm-hmm.
1 milligram of epinephrine. Why are you bringing the inventor of a grill into this? Fight on Natties. Serious question, gentlemen. Would you be okay if Miami joined a P2 conference, perhaps the Big Ten? Do you think Miami could handle week in and week out smash mouth? They absolutely can. Did you not watch them this year? They're built for that.
Yeah.
However, in terms of the P2, I do think eventually it's going to happen. Not right now, but maybe like 2029, 2030.
Wow.
I know the Big would love to take Miami, the Big Ten, so we'll see. Indiana did not respect Miami's passing game. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not on the perimeter. I felt that Miami didn't attack that enough. Juan Manuel, you know what? Fight on. The Trojan Conan brand is more relevant and known better today than USC Trojans. Ask around. Let's say Trojans at a game. Martin Dubé. Gio, why did it take offense until second half to figure out Indiana defensive scheme? Honestly, well, here's the thing. They were dropping 7 and 8 back in coverage, 7 to 8 guys back in coverage. And Miami's, at least their outside receivers, were not creating a lot of separation at the time. And I think what kind of opened up that in the second half is it's funny because I wasn't even joking about it when I said it at halftime when I saw the game in person. I said that I wonder if Miami's going to try to attack Indiana through the outside run game. And sure enough, that happened on the first offensive drive in the second half. And things started opening up more. The Indiana started expecting it, and you had it from there. So, yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
I just think that when things work, Dawson doesn't go back to him enough. We were running the outside, and he just did not go back to it. I mean, we started going right after that touchdown, next play, 2 right in the middle, 2 in a row. If you find something that works, you got to stick with it.
Yep. Charles mentioned here. Charles repeals to the stream. Mr. Hey, how is the QB from Jones High School working out in the January practice? If he practiced at all, he had got here just the other week. I haven't heard much on Darion yet. 1 milligram of epinephrine. The question isn't whether Miami could handle the Big Ten. The real question is, can the Big Ten handle Miami? I like how he thinks. We back. God bless Mario. Speaking of facilities, whatever happened to the new multi-million-dollar facility we were supposed to get? That was actually put on hold, and here's a reason why. Because Miami was still navigating what the parameters would be for revenue share that was coming into play for college football and schools directly playing players and everything. And they also didn't want it to run into the situation that Pittsburgh has had, and this is why you see several kids leaving Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does not have the funds right now to support all their players with NIL because they put so much of their money allocated towards facilities and kind of ran themselves out of the NIL arms race. This is why you see so many kids leave Pitt. Johnny Jackson, if conference realignment should happen, would you rather join the SEC or Big Ten? I think Big Ten would be the one. Dave Ping, Wingo, yes. Mr. Hey, they gave all these celebrities and players who really meant nothing to over the years, and they denied Benny Blades a sideline pass. Can you believe that? I'm surprised.
Mr. Hay, I agree. Benny Blades, one of my favorite players of all time, and number 36, only Jim Thorpe Award winner, and it came down to NFL Hall of Fame status. Was number one, and not that why NFL Hall of Fame status has anything to do with that. I mean, you should go if you're picking like it shouldn't be the players, how they performed in college. I mean, Dan Morgan, All-American. I mean, the first class of I think Hall of Famers, and that way they were rewarded, and didn't make any sense. Benny, great guy. Wish you would have got there, Mr. Hey, 12.
Epinephrine shared. Miami shouldn't join the SEC ever. The Big Ten has equivalent academics. That's another big reasoning why as well. That's a very big one. The alignment from an academic standpoint.
We love the cold weather too. We sell a lot of hoodies, so let's join the Big 12. Even though the SEC's got some cold weather places too.
Johnny Jackson, the Emperor. The SEC would be beneficial in terms of I think that's going away. And honestly, aside from that, about the whole SEC thing, I had spoke about this over a year ago because people were talking about like the recruiting and everything. And I said that Miami was a tier 2 team in recruiting, and people were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, Miami's tier 2. Like, they're just under, the Texas and Alabama and Ohio State and those programs in Georgia, how they recruit on a year-to-year basis. And people had asked the question, whoa, how does Miami break into tier 1? The run that they just went on, it's going to pay dividends on the recruiting trail.
A lot more than the $30 million or whatever we got. At the beginning of the season, we talked about, Gio, Miami needs to string together 2 10-win seasons. They have not been able to do that. And now we didn't just get 2 10. We got a 10-win season and a 13-win season. And that definitely goes far in seeing how this team overcame the 2 losses, Louisville and SMU, and they just show what they did. So I think players are going to be clamoring to come to Miami.
Martin Dubé, Cleveland Williams, Joe Buger, Henry Cooper, and Sonny Liston were also good boxers. Ali went through a murderer's row like Miami had to in the playoffs to answer. Fight on, Natties. I love Martin's comments.
Martin, just by the way, in 5th grade, just to show how old I am, or 5th grade, I had, I think it was 5th or 6th, I had like 75 cents on Ali to beat Frazier, Ali to beat Foreman. Nobody thought he could do it. And so I won like 75 cents. It was a lot of money back in the 70s.
Howard Stern said, missing Lofton for the national championship game made a huge difference. That's why Indiana played with so many corners and safeties. They did not respect the. I agree.
Totally agree.
It especially hurt for the special teams as well. I know he had played on there quite a bit throughout the year. Howard Stern, Dawson is like a Mercedes-Benz C-Class. It will never be a Maybach, and that's still leisure. But epinephrine, yeah, the money is good now. As long as we make the championship game every year and off year and we get peanuts. Yeah, he's talking about the ACC money allocation. Postseason. Let's see. Martin Dubé said, Benny Blades was so mean that he would hit a guy so hard, then go into the stands and tackle his
That is funny. Benny was a beast.
Yeah.
Number 3 pick for the Lions.
Daniel Castillo, Gio, are we getting anybody else from the portal? So Cooper Barcape, all predicated on the Mensa situation. I do expect those 2 to go through. over the next week. And I know Miami has still been involved with Keanu Davis from Nebraska. He started about 12, 13 games for the Cornhuskers. Can play multiple positions on the D line, D tackle, and end. As long as everything clears medically there, I do think Miami will land him. And I know Miami has some level of interest in, oh my goodness, in Conrad Hussey as well, a defensive back who formerly played at Florida State, left Florida State to Oregon State. He has 2 years of eligibility, was coached by Jason Taylor at St. Thomas Aquinas a few years back. And let's see, I'm going to take like 2 or 3 more questions here from the end of these questions, and then we'll wrap up. Fight On said, cut it out. Miami does not have a tough road to the – oh, my God, this is such a lie. A&M overrated.
Notre Dame guy? He's a USC guy. I think he's Notre Dame. Fight On. Because so we played Texas A&M, who was a great team, who lost one game. Then we played Ohio State, who was considered the best team in the country. Then we played Mississippi, who was an excellent team. Besides the fact we beat Notre Dame, correct? And so I don't know. Come if you're going to come with some stuff, come with stuff that makes sense.
Yeah, Howard Stern mentioned here, SEC is not the same since everyone can pay now. Very true. That's simple. That's Nick Saban knew. That's why he left. Funny thing about that, Brett, I said 2 years before Saban retired, I told people that I felt that Nick Saban was going to retire. They're like, what? Why would he retire? He's at the top of his game. Why would he retire now? And I said, he's not going to like this landscape.
Exactly.
And then Howard mentions it here. Do you know how many bags Saban and the other SEC teams gave under the table in South Florida? Several times.
Totally.
Mario was part of those teams, by the way. Deuce, this wide receiver competition is going to be amazing. 2 transfers coming in, and then Mylan Paris and Wingo and Evan competing for playing time. DB competition is going to be amazing too, because of Jabari Antoine's, Jalen Waters, and JJ is going to compete for. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's a lot of competition. Giovanni Foster, hey Gio, can you give me 3 breakout players from both sides of the ball for next year? So just not freshmen. The breakout players, I will put down. I think Joshua Moore will break out next year. I'm gonna put down Jackson Cantwell, even though a lot of people are expecting it, and I'm gonna go with a wild card in. I think Elijah Lofton puts it all together next year. I think we're gonna see what people were hoping for this year.
And Torrey's going to have a great year. I think Torrey's going to have a breakout year. I think one of the safeties, I think Fitzgerald is going to have even a better year. I think Poiser is going to be solid. I think our secondary is going to be, even though we're losing those 2 key players in Scott and Thomas, which are both beasts, probably the 2 best guys in the secondary. I think we're going to have a lot of guys going to step up this year.
Yeah, defensively, I'd say Hayden Lowe. I agree with you on Muhammad Touré. I think he could line himself up for a better year next year. I think he was just starting to get healthy and back to his normal self, to be honest. Mm-hmm. If you watch the playoffs, it looks very different than how it
playing against Texas A&M to knock that ball loose. I mean, that could have got it. We could have lost. They were going to go.
You know what's funny about that, Brett? I saw someone make a comment in a group chat I'm in. They're like, man, I think Muhammad Touré turned a couple screws right after that hit, because ever since then it's like a light turned on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Johnny Jackson, who's the starting defensive line this year? Moten, Scott, Blunt, Lightfoot. Moten and Scott, but Wilson will be starting, and I don't know, it could be Lightfoot, it could be Lowe, it could be Blunt. I don't think the starter is really going to matter at edge. I think you're going to have a nice, healthy 4-man rotation there that will all get starter snaps, at least at defensive end. Let's see. Dawson himself said he was impatient. Dawson needs to get better as an offensive coordinator and using the talent that is on the roster. He doesn't use speed players well. Yeah, I think he has some good points there. Mr. Hey, where does Indiana now stack up to the greatest teams of all time? They're not 2019 LSU. I'll tell you that. They're a very good coach team. They're a veteran team, but they're not 2019 LSU. And they're not 2001 Miami.
And they're not the Clemson team either. Clemson went undefeated, didn't they? With that that amazing defense. I think they're not Clemson either. I don't see them as a top 10 team. I mean, I know it was a great story. They beat Ohio State. They beat us. But we're definitely not one of the 10. And we went toe to toe with them the whole game. And we're not a top 20 team of all time.
Martin Dubé. Now that NIL is a thing, there was no Pat Surtain Jr. back then, no Jordan Battle, no Daniel Wright, no Joshua Jobe in Alabama starting defense. Yep, Martin's so right. A lot of those guys Miami lost because of the under the table stuff going on. Calvin Ridley was a big one too, and Dwayne Bowe way back. If you remember that one.
Surtain would have came here if they would have let his dad give Pat Surtain could have come and coach. That made no sense whatsoever.
Johnny Jackson, don't stop at South Florida. How about all of Florida's on lock? Yeah. If we got Barcate, who are the starters? So Barcate and Tony would be starting, and then you're going to have a competition with all the other guys. It could be Josh Moore, it could be Cam Vaughn, it could be Samarian Wingo, Vandrevius Jacobs. You got to let that all sort itself out.
How big is Barcate? Last question on that.
He's about 6'1", 195, 200 pounds.
All right, so
he's really good after the catch as well. Like this guy could break tackles in the open field, Brett.
It's exciting. Once we get that, it's gonna be pumped.
He had a Harvard education as well. He's a super smart kid.
Is he really? Really? Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's where he was at before he got to Duke this past season.
Well, from Harvard to Duke, not bad universities for scholarly. He'd have to have Miami now to it, of course. So they'd have the top 3 educational universities.
Juan Manuel asked here, J.J. Dunnigan's father is a coach. Yes, J.J. Dunnigan's father has been a coach, and he was also a former D1 football athlete as well. He played for Kansas back in the day. Canes Jones, what's the word on Jordan Lyle? We shall see. We shall see. I know he still hadn't made a decision yet, at least as of the other day, so we'll see. Soulful Spirit, Dunnigan's beat, just wait. Yeah, a lot of people have made some comparisons of Dunnigan to Jacoby Thomas. So we'll see.
Really? That's good.
Yeah, very similar frames. Dunnigan's actually could potentially be a little more athletic than even Jacoby Thomas was.
I mean, a year ago at this time, if we're having this show, are we talking about Keontae Scott and Jacoby Thomas as good as they were?
Scott, yes. I mentioned when Miami landed him that he had a lot of NFL buzz at Auburn as a nickel before they moved him to being like on the outside on the boundary. But Jacoby Thomas, he surprised me. I mean, I had some questions, but he really surprised me. Johnny Jackson, Mario's good at finding gems in the evaluation of recruits. Absolutely. Gio Kane, it's going to be hard to go undefeated. Indiana was a very good team. It was like, yeah. They had some breaks along the way too. There was games they could have.
Last game, that's all that counts.
Juan Manuel, hey Gio and Brett, before you go, put into words how special 2025 was to you, so we can set 2025 free as a bird in closing. I think it was an incredible year. I hadn't experienced anything like this since I was 10 years old, so it was a beauty to cover it in person, going to these games in person, being on the sidelines, seeing the energy of this team. Just incredible turnaround from the coaching staff as well. It's all the credit to them, keeping the team on track and focused despite all the outside noise and the drama of the CFP rankings, and then finally getting in. It was an incredible year, and I think it's massive for the program going forward. I think Miami is going to break into tier 1 of recruiting. I always said that they needed this to get to that. And I think they'll sign their best recruiting class yet this upcoming year. Brett, what about you?
I think this was possibly the most exciting year in Miami Hurricane history, and I followed the program a long time. In '83, we won the championship. We lost to Florida. We ran the table. It was very exciting, but there weren't as many Cane fans, okay? And then when we beat Notre Dame in Nebraska, we were 6th ranked, and nobody thought it was great to be there and exciting, but we stuck to the title. Every other year that we played, we were supposed to win the national championship. So this year, it was difficult because after SMU, we went into playoff mode. We won the last 4 games of the season, and we had to win them convincingly. Then the drama of getting into the playoffs. We all know exactly where we were when the U came up, and we all saw the U. That was exciting alone. Then we get to prepare for our first playoff game at Texas A&M. Then we got to play the mighty Ohio State, who we know we've had a vengeance against for 20 years since they did us. Then the Fiesta Bowl, where we never could win, which we lost championships. We were 0-4, I think. And then to play a home game in our own stadium. Now, even though we lost, I think this was the most exciting, the most unexpected, the greatest season for Miami Hurricane fans. Not winning a championship, but we weren't expected to do it. And after SMU, let's face it, there wasn't a Cane fan anywhere that thought we had a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I'm going with, guys, it's not always about the final hurdle, but when you win in sports and in life, it's the little wins you get. Getting to the playoff was an unbelievable win for us all. Each playoff game, each one of those made us feel better as people. So it's not only about just winning, it's that ride, and that ride was exciting. And life is all about the ride. And so that's how I think about it, Juan Manuel.
Johnny Jackson, Oregon will never win. They are soft. Gio Kane, if we switch QBs, do we win the champion? No. I don't think so. Howard Stern, Dwayne, yes, but Andre Johnson and his family told Dwayne Bowe to go to LSU. I was there and saw with my own eyes. They did not trust Coker and Dan Warner. Yeah, well, and the other thing was James Coley was also the bag man for Dwayne Bowe. That's a long story about that, how he got into coaching in the collegiate level. Martin Dubé, Miami defensive line will use waves of death to overpower people in 2026. Absolutely. 6 guys deep and 5 guys deep at D tackle. If you believe the Stansel hype from practice, yes. Julius Jones from St. Thomas Aquinas is the best player in the state. That his father is a Notre Dame legacy. You're right. The kid is the next Tony. All right, Hassan, great show, fellas. Let's have a great season for 2026, 27 for Miami. And let's bring number 6 Natty to Miami. It's all about the U. Yep. Look, I don't know if it'll be next year. It's hard to predict that right now, but they'll definitely be in contention.
Mm-hmm.
Taco Tom, Dwayne Bowe, trusting Nick Saban, who left then. Les Miles. Yep. Juan Manuel, well said, gentlemen. Taco Tom, Miami has to get more transfers. Going to get older guys to be back. Martin Dubé, as much as we say we can get better in recruiting, the 2025 class is 14th, but look at how many players from it hit as compared to the number 4 class of 2023. We beat teams, CFP with better recruits. Absolutely agreed, Martin. I also mentioned that this time last year, a lot of people were crying about the class, and I said, look, from an average star standpoint, it was the most quality class that Mario had signed to date.
Kenneth 2030 is back here.
Yeah. Kenneth Wayne, 2030 Natty is back at Hard Rock. Let's become the first team to win the chip in their home stadium then. Go Canes.
That's the 2029 season or the 2030 season?
It would be 2029 season and then the championship 2030 in January. Okay. But the 2028 season, the championship, which will be the beginning of 2029, is in Tampa as well. So,
wow.
Hey, who knows? 2 chances in the state of Florida.
That's unbelievable. All right.
Until then, as that is said, thank you everyone for stopping by. We had over 6,000 people stop by late night.
Wow.
Friday, it's almost midnight. Thank you everyone for stopping by the past 2 hours. Had fun discussing everything, the end of the season, looking forward. We'll be back again very soon. There's still going to be some few things happening with the portal over the next week, but exciting times if you're a Miami Hurricane fan. Make sure you shop at CanesWear, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida, or you could shop online at CanesWear.com.
Thank you, Gio. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us. We love doing this. Thank you so much. We'll try to do it, set up a schedule, do more often, some shorter shows as well. Thank you, Bobby and Finn's Talk and everyone for having us. Share, like, subscribe. Guys, appreciate it. Happy to be a Hurricane. I know Gio and everyone is here too, and thank you so much. And it's all about the U.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.